Hear ye, hear ye. The court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Jay Harris presiding. Would you all please rise?
Be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the case that you're about to hear is a civil tort action, a civil trial, brought by the plaintiff, Robbie Curtis, against three defendants: the Central Independent School District, the Billings Power and Light Company, and the homeowner of Mr. John Carpenter. This is a personal injury case in which the plaintiff alleges that his son was severely injured in an electrical accident while climbing a large tree that was located on local school property. The injuries were found to have occurred when the teenager came in contact with an 8,000-volt uninsulated power line owned by the local power company. The plaintiff alleges that the school district and the power company, as well as a nearby resident homeowner, were all negligent in causing the injuries to the boy, and is seeking comparative damages in satisfaction for this claim. You have all been duly selected as jurors in this case, and I'm sure each of you realize the great importance of serving as a juror of another human being. I would expect each of you to do your very best in carrying out this important civic duty. I will now swear you in as a juror. Would each of you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear to serve as a juror in this trial to the best of your ability, honestly and conscientiously, so help you God? Answer, I do, please. Thank you. Be seated. Now that you've been sworn in, let me remind you of the very serious nature of your duties as a juror in this trial. It is important that you listen carefully and attentively throughout the trial, taking notes if you wish. You are to rely entirely on these notes and on your recollection of the evidence that you will hear and see here today. You must consider the credibility of each witness as they appear and upon each piece of testimony that is given. You will have to rely on your own experience, judgment, and common sense in these matters of the decision-making process. During the course of the trial, you will receive evidence from which a jury may properly find a defendant guilty of an offense. There are two types of evidence. One is direct evidence, such as testimony of an eyewitness. The other is circumstantial evidence, which is proof of circumstances pointing to the commission of a crime. As a general rule, the law makes no distinction between direct and circumstantial evidence. It simply requires that before a defendant can be convicted, a jury must be satisfied of the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. To justify conviction upon circumstantial evidence, all the circumstances must be consistent with the theory that the accused is guilty, and inconsistent with any rational theory except that of his guilt. After all the witnesses have been heard, and you have heard the arguments posted by the various attorneys here today, I will clarify the law for you as it applies to this particular case. I will then charge you with your responsibilities in making your decisions. We are now about to hear opening statements from each team of attorneys as we begin this case. An opening statement should be helpful to you in understanding the case, as the lawyers will present it from their own point of view. Listen carefully to these remarks, for they should preview and kind of act as a blueprint of how you will hear the trial today. If you have no questions, we will proceed. Are the plaintiffs ready to present your opening statements?
Yes, we are, Your Honor. May I approach the podium?
Yes, you may.
Your Honor, may it please the court?
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are here today because my client, Rebecca Curtis, has been permanently incapacitated in multiple facets of her life. The unnecessary incident happened on August 6, 2010, when my client and her 4 friends were engaging in a common activity, climbing a tree. Little did they know that there was a hidden uninsulated power line running through the tree. After being shocked by the 8,000-volt uninsulated power line, my client fell to the ground and her life has been forever changed. Had there not been negligence by 3 separate parties, my client would be living a normal life. Instead, she is forever physically, socially, and mentally handicapped. The first act of negligence was the building of a tree which lured my client and her friends into the tree. One of the defendants, John Carpenter, built the tree house in a tree on school grounds. He claims to be just a friendly neighbor trying to help the children. Regardless, it doesn't change the fact that as an adult he showed blatant negligence as no warning sign was ever placed. The school district is also at fault as they are liable for anything that happens on their property, even if it is the summer. The school was aware that these power lines were running through the trees, still no signs were set up to protect the students. The power line company never put any signs and left the tree untrimmed, allowing the tree to be within 2 feet of a branch, far from the 10 feet required. We find that John Carpenter, the school district, and the power line company all showed negligence which led to the injuries sustained by Rebecca Curtis. Throughout the case, we will show that reasonable care was ridiculed as the power line company directly contradicted their tree trimming policy. The school district did nothing to prevent the foreseeable dangers involved with power lines running through their tree, and John Carpenter was oblivious of the possible danger involved with building an appealing tree house with inefficient supervision. As a result of their negligence, Rebecca has had significant impairments. I believe that in your wisdom, you will make the correct decision and reward the monetary compensation necessary for my client to overcome those impediments. Thank you.
Thank you. We're the school district, power line company, and the homeowner. All right. Is the school district ready to present their opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor. May I approach the bench?
Yes, go ahead.
May it please the court.
Go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the Board of Education of this school district finds itself involved in a liability case in which a young man young woman suffered serious injuries in an electrical accident that occurred in a tree located on the far edge of the school district property. The school property involved in this case has a very large recreational area of Central Junior High School that is bordered between Jefferson Street and State Highway 100 and between Victoria Drive and School Drive. The cottonwood tree located on the northwest edge of this recreational area is estimated to be 70 or more years old, a tall, sturdy tree some 60 feet in height. The only maintenance required of the entire recreational area would be the grass cutting typically done by the school district employees and the slight trimming of lower branches of the several trees that rim the northern border of this property. All of the trees in this northern section are evergreen trees with the exception of the large cottonwood tree. Testimony will indicate that school employees had trimmed the cottonwood tree of all branches extending downward to 6 feet above ground level some 13 months prior to the accident, and all 3 feet above ground level. We contend that the school district complied with their duties as property owners and properly maintaining this property with the usual grass cutting and low limb trimming carried out diligently by school employees and are prepared to show testimony to these facts. We also contend that the school district was not aware that a serious danger existed merely because of the existence of power lines, yet we're aware that a high voltage power line was present. Furthermore, we will argue that it was the obligation of the power line company to do whatever is necessary to make their power line safe or to warn the school district of this danger, which it did not do at this time, even though they alerted the neighbors of the danger which they neglected to bring to light to the children. We are prepared to present testimony which will show that school employees were not present when the accident occurred, during the time of summer vacation when children were not in attendance and when teachers were not employed. Therefore, it is argued that it is reasonable to expect parents to properly supervise their children in their varied activities, wherever they may be, and to expect children to behave reasonably as well. We are prepared to introduce testimony that a defendant, resident homeowner adjacent to the school property, built a treehouse in the cottonwood tree some few weeks prior to the accident without permission or knowledge of the school district. After you all of the testimony and evidence, I am confident that you will understand that the school district behaved responsibly throughout this incident and that they are not liable in any way for this unfortunate accident. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Turntine. Gentlemen, for the power company, are you ready to present your opening statement?
We're going to wait.
You're going to wait till you present your case? All right. Gentlemen, are you ready?
No, sir. We're also going to wait.
You're also going to wait? Well, then I'm going to go ahead and allow you to call your first witness, okay? So you may call the plaintiff may call their first witness.
We would like to call Becky Crawford to the stand, please.
Becky Crawford to the stand. I'm watching. Open chain. I'm watching.
May I approach the stand, please?
Yes, you may. This is my non-safe area. It's always that way. I'll help you up and then just get as close to the mic as close as you can. Talk loudly. And do not touch the partition until it's on rows, and it will roll off. And we'll all laugh. You ready? Relax.
May it please the court?
Go ahead.
Could you please state your name for the court?
Becky Crawford.
And how old were you at the time of the accident?
I was 16 years old.
And what school did you attend?
Central High School,
And what grade were you in?
11th grade.
And how would you describe your relationship with Ms. Curtis prior to the accident?
We were best friends.
And how would you describe the physical abilities of Ms. Curtis?
She was a gymnast, so she was very active in her workout.
And on a typical outing with Ms. Curtis, like when you guys were hanging out, what would you typically do with her?
We were both athletes, so we did train together. She helped me with my softball practice, and we'd just work out together and stuff most of the time.
And on the day of the accident, what were you guys doing prior?
We were all playing softball.
And how many people were you with?
4 others and 5 with myself.
Can you please state their names?
Well, Rebecca Curtis was one. Then there's Andrew White, Sean, Ryan, and James O'Neill.
Thank you. And what did you guys do next?
After playing softball, we decided to climb into the treehouse and talk for a little bit.
And about how long did you remain in the treehouse?
About 10 minutes, I'd say.
And whose idea would you say this was?
I can't recall who it was, but I remember it was a boy.
And was the treehouse aesthetically appealing?
Yes, it definitely was.
So you would say it would draw you to climb the tree?
Yes.
And was there anything near the tree or at the base of the tree that suggested you shouldn't go in the tree?
No, not at all.
So it was inviting.
Yeah.
So how did you come across this treehouse?
When I first moved to Billings, a friend of mine showed it to me, and it was a place where all the kids from around the area would meet up.
And at this point, how many people are you with?
Still 5 people, like including myself.
So after talking for about 5 to 10 minutes in the treehouse, what happened next?
I remember Rebecca climbed out of the treehouse and began climbing, and the rest of us joined within a few minutes.
And who else joined Rebecca outside of the treehouse?
All of us did.
Was this unusual?
No.
So you have done this before?
Yes.
On your way up the tree, did you notice anything unusual?
At first, I didn't, but we did climb a few feet higher than usual, and I started to notice some wires that were not there prior.
And at this point, how high do you think you were?
I'd say about 25 feet.
So when you came across these new power lines that you hadn't seen before, what did you do next?
Well, I didn't really think about the danger, but I did avoid them just because it was common sense.
And then what happened next?
Well, I did get a little nervous. We were getting a little high on the tree, so I descended to a lower level, and I saw Rebecca. I looked up and I heard some strange sounds. Then she began to fall downward towards the ground.
And at this point, so after returning to the lower level, about how high were you?
At that point, I was about 10 feet above the ground.
And when you saw Rebecca fall to the ground, what did you do?
Well, whenever she hit the ground, I immediately jumped down and I went to go see if she was okay.
And can you describe the condition of Rebecca on the ground?
She was heaped over and she appeared to be unconscious.
And did you attempt to get help right away?
I remember yelling out to the other kids, "Help, help, Rebecca's been hurt," and immediately after that, I ran to the carpenter's house.
And what was Ms. Carpenter's reaction?
She was very concerned. She let me use her phone to call 911.
And after placing the call, what did you do next?
Well, Ms. Carpenter and I went back to see how Rebecca was doing, and an ambulance came within a few minutes.
And about how long would you say it took the ambulance to arrive?
I would say maybe 3 to 5 minutes.
And what are some of the noticeable changes in Rebecca before and after the incident?
Physically, well, her elbow's cut from the right elbow down, and she's missing a few fingers on her left hand.
And what about socially?
Let me interrupt for just a second. She lost her right arm from her elbow below, correct?
Correct.
All right.
Yes.
How could you describe the social changes of Miss Curtis?
She's not the same as she used to be. I just don't feel like I can relate to her anymore. There's not much to talk about.
Is she mentally incompetent?
Yes, and she's missed a lot of school, so...
Due to falling out of the tree?
Repeat, please.
She's mentally
Leading the
incompetent
witness.
due to falling out of the tree?
Yes.
I'm sorry?
Objection, leading the witness.
Sustained. Rephrase that.
Do you think that falling out of the tree impacted her life?
Objection.
Objection, leading the witness.
That's an even better job at leading the witness.
Can you please describe how her life has been changed due to falling out of the tree?
Well, like I said, she did miss a lot of school, so academically she's behind. She's behind on keeping up with her friends, and it's just not the same for her friends and family.
And how has your relationship with Miss Curtis changed?
Well, I don't see much of her anymore, so I am lacking my best friend.
And in her life, have you noticed any differences from before, like her day-to-day activities?
She no longer is as active as before. She can't compete in her gymnastics anymore, and it's just all physical abilities are gone.
Could any measures have been taken to prevent this accident?
Well,
Objection, leading the witness.
Well, there's an objection there, but it's not leading the
And
witness.
calling for a conclusion.
I'm going to go ahead and accept that one, yes. Sustained.
May I approach my counsel?
Yes, quickly. And I want to apologize to the jury. I was calling Rebecca by her nickname, which is Robbie, and that's not appropriate, okay? So please be aware that it's Rebecca, okay? Rebecca Curtis, and disregard her nickname, Robbie. My apologies for confusing you. Go ahead.
Can you describe any deterrence at all from being in the tree?
Can you please repeat that?
Was there anything at all that would deter you from getting into the tree?
I mean, if there were signs there, like there were no signs
There were no signs.
no signs that indicated danger, so we were not aware of the potential danger of climbing higher.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Cross-examine.
Yes, Your Honor. May I approach the bench?
Yeah, you can approach the podium.
The podium,
No,
yeah.
you're not. Before you get started, is there anybody in fifth period that needs to go early to the assembly because you're in it? No, other than open chain? All right, let's proceed.
All right. Becky Crawford, do you think that you can take me back to before this accident, and can you describe to me how the injured person was in school?
She was very good in school. She was an A student, AB student, but that has changed.
So you would say prior to this incident, she had a good grasp on her mind and was pretty smart?
Yes, very.
Okay. So now, when you left the treehouse and you started to climb higher, and then you got scared and you started to go down, and she kept going, why did she keep going?
I don't know. Those are things you can't control. You either know to go down or you don't.
So you would think that if she was an AB student, that she would have the right state of mind to see the power lines and to go down?
Well, I believe that common sense and school smarts are two different things.
Okay. So she was not a school or a common sense person?
I don't know. Probably not in that case.
Okay. And if you saw these power lines and saw that they might be dangerous or you were scared of them, why did you not alert your friend?
Well, I thought it was pretty obvious, but, obvious in my case because I get nervous about a lot of things, so I just climbed down because that was my first reaction, but the others didn't.
Okay, so the others, so everyone else but you went up there, or was it just...
No. Well, whenever I descended to a lower level, two of the other people went back to the treehouse, and Rebecca and Andrew kept climbing.
Okay. So you said that the power lines you thought in your mind were pretty obvious? Is that what you said?
I mean, they were noticeable. We hadn't climbed that high before, so it was a change.
Okay. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Turntime. Gentlemen, cross-examine.
May I approach the stand, Your Honor?
I'm sorry?
May I approach the stand, Your Honor?
Yes.
What do you want to ask?
And may it please the court, Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead.
Becky, when did you say you moved to Billings, Montana?
When I was in second grade.
When you were in second grade?
Mhm.
Okay. And was the treehouse already standing when you had moved here?
It was, but I believe it was renovated at some point.
Renovated. Okay. Can you go into detail about that? Was the treehouse standing the whole time?
I think it was the Carpenter family who rebuilt it, or somebody rebuilt it. I'm not too sure who did, but we used to always go to that treehouse.
Okay, but at a certain point there was a lack of a treehouse. I mean, the treehouse was not standing the entire time?
There was always a treehouse there, but there was a newly built one.
Okay, so there was always a treehouse there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, were you aware of when the newest version of the treehouse was built?
No, I cannot recall exactly when that was.
Okay. And when you were climbing the tree, you mentioned that the power lines were noticeable. Can you go over again for us what your first reaction was when you saw the power lines?
I didn't really think they were dangerous. I wasn't too sure, but I did avoid touching them just in case.
Okay, so what was your first reaction after you saw the power lines in the tree?
Just keep climbing and don't touch them.
Okay, keep climbing and don't touch them. You stated you were a very nervous person. Did the power lines make you nervous?
I mean, like I said, I didn't think I'd get electrocuted, but I didn't want to get my foot tangled or something.
Okay, you didn't want to get your foot tangled. Were you worried about Rebecca Curtis getting her foot tangled?
Well, I wasn't freaking out. I wasn't very scared that we'd all fall off the tree or else we wouldn't have climbed in the first place.
Okay, and can you go over for me again what happened immediately after you descended the tree, before Rebecca was shocked?
When I was climbing down to a lower level?
Climbing down to the lower level, yes.
I heard some strange noises and I looked up and I just saw Rebecca falling head first.
Okay. And can you go over for us again, please, what your first reaction was after you saw Rebecca fall?
Objection asked and answered.
Since they're just beginning, I'm going to allow it to get going. Thank you, though.
Well, I was scared for my life. I didn't know if she would break her arm or if she'd sprain something, but we were pretty high up in the tree, so the damages were more severe.
Okay. And when you were climbing the tree, were you aware that you were trespassing on school property?
No.
No, you weren't aware? So what did
Objection, it was public property.
That's not an objection.
Okay.
Good try, though. Keep going.
Did you have any concerns about being on school property during the summer when administrators and teachers weren't there?
No, I believe that the administrators were aware that all the students went there. It was a place where all of us used to go.
Okay. Have you heard of lawsuits in the past being filed after a student is injured on school property?
I have, vaguely.
You have? And did your parents ever inform you of the danger or what kind of ramifications those lawsuits could have?
No.
No, they didn't. So your parents never informed you of the danger. Are you aware of any of your friends' parents informing them of the danger?
No, I'm not.
No, not at all. Okay. And were you also aware that the treehouse was built illegally on school property?
No.
You weren't. Okay. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bunting. Mr. Krieger, are you ready?
Yes, Your Honor. May I approach the podium?
Yes, you may.
May it please the court?
Hold on. I'm sorry. This school board's first, or school district's first, the power company is second, and the homeowner is third. And I'm going to really confuse you when we get back because of the obvious things we have to do with people being out of town. So we're not going to be going in the order that I like to go in. So get ready to be confused in a little while. Go ahead.
May it please the court?
Yes.
Can you tell me what you were doing before you went to climb the tree?
We were playing softball.
Asked and answered.
Ask it again.
What were you doing before you went to climb the tree?
That's ask and answered. Next question.
All right. How can I say this? What were you doing on the day before you climbed the tree?
Objection, asked and answered.
No, that's a little different. Go ahead.
Well, before I was just with my family, and then we went to the athletic field with my friends.
How long were you playing on the athletic fields for?
I'd say about an hour.
An hour. Were you playing vigorously, or was it just not?
No, it was just light play, softball.
Do you think you could have been exhausted once you went to climb the tree? Or?
No.
No. Okay. So you noticed the wire 25 feet up?
Yes.
And you failed to notify Rebecca that the wire was there?
Well, if there was an obvious threat to our safety, I'm not going to point it out. I assume that everybody would do what they think is best for them.
So you assumed that she would notice the wire, or?
No, because she may not believe it to be dangerous. It was just my personal belief.
What else do you believe that wire could have been if it was not an electrical line?
I don't think she said that she doesn't think it was a school line. I think she was just saying that, and I interject like this so we don't confuse the jury. I think she's just saying that Rebecca might not have accepted the fact that it was a power line or something of that nature.
So what do you think the line was then?
It could have been anything. I don't know. We're not educated about what wires are.
Did you say Rebecca was your best friend?
Yes.
Do y'all talk a lot?
Yes. We did before the accident.
You guys vocal with each other?
Excuse me?
Are you vocal with each other?
Do you talk a lot?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why would you not yell up to Rebecca and inform her of the wire, even if you hadn't seen it, or ask her opinion on what the wire was?
I don't know. I didn't think... We weren't really talking while we were going up the tree. It was just a competition to get to the top.
But you were talking before you went up the tree?
In the tree house.
And could you see the wire from the tree house?
No.
No further questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Krieger. Do you care to redirect?
We do.
Really? Okay. Yes, go ahead.
Becky, why do you believe that Rebecca crawled so high?
I'm not too sure. She was always an insecure person. I feel like she just wanted to fit in, stand out.
And while she was climbing, did Rebecca show any signs of seeing any power lines, or was it just you?
I wasn't really looking up the whole time. I was kind of focusing on which branch to climb next.
And can you please describe the warnings that were given to you by the school district about climbing the tree?
There were no warnings.
Very good. No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Do you all care to recross?
No, Your Honor.
Gentlemen, do you care to recross?
We do care to recross.
Okay, hurry. Guys, we got to stop meeting with the attorneys in the middle. We'll take a break, then you can talk to them, okay? Let's go. Move it.
Becky, I want to ask you a few more questions about your motivation for climbing the tree. You stated that you and Rebecca were athletes and often competed with each other. Do you feel like that competition that exists between you contributed to your desire to climb the tree that day?
We don't compete against each other. We're just competitive in our own sports. We play different sports.
Okay, so even though you play softball together, you don't compete against each other?
No, we just practice together.
It's just friendly?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so, and when you noticed the power lines, and I know we've already talked about this, please state one more time for the court, did you inform Rebecca Curtis of the inherent danger?
I did not.
You did not. And can you give us a reason for why you didn't?
I think she's answered that.
All right. And do you feel any remorse that she was injured after you gave her no warning, no sign of trouble,
Objection, badgering.
Overruled. Go ahead.
and no notification of the 8,000-volt power line above you?
I don't believe it was my responsibility because it could have happened to any of us. I could have also been the one to be mentally disabled.
Okay, and you would have taken complete responsibility if you had been the one mentally handicapped.
Ask that again.
And, okay, you said that you don't feel any remorse because you think Rebecca should take personal responsibility?
No, I didn't say that. I said that we weren't given proper warning, so it could have happened to any of us.
Do you consider yourself a child?
I do, a minor.
You're a minor? Okay. So you consider yourself a child that is not able to avoid power lines without proper warning, yet you assume the risk of climbing the tree at your own danger with no adult supervision. Is that correct?
Yes, we are children. We do that.
Okay, so you're children that trespass on school property and climb up to illegal tree houses.
Move on, Mr. Bunting.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Krieger, do you care to recross?
Yes, Your Honor.
Hurry.
Can you tell me any of the other neighbors that have ever built a tree house in that tree?
The neighbors who built it?
Or any other neighbors that have built one before that tree house?
I'm not aware of who are the people who built them.
Are you good friends with Rebecca again? Is that true?
Yes.
So Rebecca never told you when her father was building a tree house in that tree, in the very same tree that she was electrocuted?
No.
No more questions.
All right, thank you. You may step down.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, the bell's about to ring. No one leaves yet, okay, because the bell hadn't rung. I need to see my people, okay? I've seen you all. Attorneys, you can stay where you're at until the bell rings. Seniors, you can obviously stay here, which you can't go to the assembly. But I need to see the underclassmen, anyone below a senior in my classes. Let me see you real quick before the bell rings. We're in recess, and you need to get back here and get started as soon as possible. We are in recess.
This presentation is brought to you by HPTV. If you or someone you know would like to sponsor this unique TV station, please email Mrs. Kelly Snowder at snowdeck@hpasd.org. And from all of us here at HPTV, we thank you for watching.
All right, gentlemen, you may call your, and ladies, I apologize, call your next witness.
Your Honor, we'd like to call Rebecca Curtis to the stage, or to the bench. to the stand. May I approach the podium?
Yes? Okay. This is my own sanctuary. So I'll get you there. It's fine.
So why would I object?
Don't
No,
touch the,
I'm not. I wasn't even talking about objections.
on Roberts and then we'll roll out and then I'll be embarrassed.
We can highlight what he misses. He's got to cover up. That's what I mean. Are you ready? Say all this. I think she's going to do really well.
Please state your name.
Rebecca Curtis,
When were you born?
April 16th,
And where do you attend school currently?
Central High School.
All right. And on Monday, August 6, 2010, where were you?
I was with 4 of my friends, and we were playing softball, and then we decided to climb the neighborhood tree.
And what is the reputation of this tree?
It's the neighborhood climbing tree.
Who built the tree house up in the tree?
Mr. Carpenter.
How many people have ever told you to not climb that tree?
No one.
Of what?
Objection what?
Yeah.
Way to go.
All right, yeah, thank you. All right, we'll go along then. How many cable lines are running through the tree?
4.
When had you seen these wires before?
Never.
In your affidavit, you said that you didn't think much of these power lines in general before the accident. Why is that?
Because I thought that the adults responsible for those would protect it and not let any dangerous wires be in the way.
And how were you electrocuted?
I don't really remember, but I think that through some of the branches.
Why did you climb so high into the tree?
It was a dare. I wanted to fit in.
And what injuries did you sustain from this incident?
My right arm from the elbow down is gone. My left pinky, and I have some bruising and scars on my back and legs, and some learning disabilities.
How has your previous learning disability been affected by this injury?
It's been compounded, my ADHD that I had before.
And how have your social interactions been going with peers since this incident?
It's been hard to interact. I can't really relate to my friends anymore.
And how have social interactions, how has the tree house influenced your decision to climb the tree? How did it?
Excuse me.
You good?
Yeah.
How did the tree house influence your decision to climb the tree?
I mean, it was appealing, so I wanted to climb it.
And how do you think the situation would have been different had there been a sign at the bottom of the tree or anywhere else?
Objection. No, that's calling for knowledge that doesn't exist.
What's the objection?
Objection, lack of personal knowledge.
Sustained.
All right. Describe any signs you saw at the base of the tree.
There was no signs.
Had there been signs, would you have climbed the tree?
No.
Okay. May I please get with my counsel, Your Honor?
Can you what?
Can I please see my counsel, Your Honor?
You
Be
want to meet
prepared.
with your
Consult with my
co-attorneys?
counsel. Yes.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you.
May I approach the podium, Your Honor?
Yes, ma'am.
May it please the court, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Ms. Figari.
Ms. Curtis, what extracurricular activities did you participate in prior to the accident?
I was on the high school gymnastics team.
How has your accident affected your ability to participate in these?
I am no longer able to participate.
Did you have plans regarding colleges before your accident?
Yes, colleges were scouting me for gymnastics, and they were retracted after my accident, so I'm no longer able to go to college for gymnastics.
So how has your accident affected your outlook for your future?
I can't go to college, and I might not be able to even move out on my own. It's hard to do basic activities on my own, so it'd be hard to go to college on my own.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Figari. Cross-examine.
Your Honor, may I approach the podium?
Yes, you may. Just a reminder, don't let my time get away from me, Mr. Sire. Please, Sayer, sorry. Go ahead.
Your Honor, may it please the court?
Sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Go ahead.
Your Honor, may it please the court?
Go ahead.
Are you currently enrolled in school?
Yes.
What kind of classes are you in?
Basic classes. I mean, now I'm not able to do them normally, but I was in basic classes.
Is the school helping you with your educational needs?
Yes.
Did you ever climb the cottonwood tree before the accident?
What?
Did you ever climb the cottonwood tree before the accident?
Yes.
When you climbed the tree, did you notice the power line?
No.
How were your grades in school?
They were okay. I mean, wasn't an A student, but.
So, Becky Crawford stated in her testimony that you didn't have a common sense, like you didn't have strong common sense. So because of that, do you think you have common sense?
Yes, but I mean, I had learning disabilities before, and after the accident, they were compounded. So.
Because you have common sense, when you notice did you notice the power lines when you were climbing on the day of the accident?
No.
Your Honor, may I approach my counsel?
Sure, go ahead.
Your Honor, may I approach the podium?
Yes.
If you had saw the power lines, would you have warned your friends into not going closer to them?
Yes, but I mean, I didn't think that they would shock us because of the rubber covering. I mean, if there was warning signs, we probably wouldn't even climb the tree that high.
Okay, no further questions.
All right, thank you, Ms. Skinner. Cross-examine Mr. Maynard.
Your Honor, may I approach the bench?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I please the court?
Yes.
How long had you been playing softball before you climbed the tree?
Speak the mic up towards you, please.
How long had you been playing softball before you started climbing the tree?
I don't play softball. I just play for fun, but.
That's not my question.
What was your?
How long had you been playing that day?
Oh, an hour.
Would you consider yourself fatigued after an hour of playing softball?
Would I what?
Consider yourself fatigued?
Ask it again.
Were you tired after you played softball?
No. We were just playing. It was light play.
You have to remember she's been injured.
Okay.
Ouch. That's rough. That's cold.
Such bad. No.
Is this the first time you ever climbed the tree this high?
Yes.
Why had you never climbed the tree this high before?
I don't know. I just never thought to. It was a dare, so.
Did you assume that there was some risk climbing the tree this high? Is that why you never did it before?
Not really. I didn't know there was power lines, so.
In your direct examination, you said that you were aware of 4 power lines. Is that true or is that not true?
No, I knew that there was 4 power lines after, but I didn't know there was power lines before.
That is not what you stated in your direct examination.
Hey, we don't carry on.
She's in cross-examination.
No. Let's go.
If you're going to say something, object, please.
So even if you didn't see them beforehand, your friend stated that they were very easily seen when she was climbing the tree. Did you see them while you were climbing?
No. No.
Do you know the dangers of power lines?
I didn't know that they were, I didn't know that was going to shock me. I thought that if it was insulated, it wasn't going to.
Have your parents ever informed you of the dangers of playing around power lines?
No.
May I meet with my counsel?
Yes.
Okay. So you had never seen
Your Honor, may I approach the stand?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Oh, no, dude. So here's the question.
Please restate for the court, did your parents ever warn you of the dangers of the power lines?
Objection asked and answered.
Asked and answered. I'll agree with that.
Did your parents ever warn you of the dangers of climbing the tree?
Objection asked and answered.
Not asked and answered.
Excuse me, we do not carry on conversation with everyone else. That particular question was not asked. Go ahead.
Okay.
Ask it again.
Did your parents ever warn you of the danger of climbing that particular tree?
No.
Would you consider your parents careful about your safety?
Yes.
Okay. How about your father especially? Did he ever give you talks about the hazards of doing something like playing on private property?
No.
No, he didn't? Okay. No further questions. That's all.
Cross-examine Mr. Sayer.
May I approach the stand?
Yes.
I'm going to say, assuming evidence not. When you add that, I need to find that one. Assume facts, not evidence.
Your Honor, may I please the court?
Go ahead.
Okay. So would you say tree climbing is a fairly popular activity during and after school hours?
Yes.
Okay, you would. Okay, so after school hours, how much parental supervision do you have during your normal tree climbing procedure?
I mean, our parents weren't out there, but...
I mean, like, just like normally, like when you climb trees. Just like, how out of all the times you climb trees, how often do your parents supervise you?
Not very often. I mean, they let us just go out and play, and that's like
Okay.
the normal place we go.
Well, would you say that this excess freedom may contribute to your will to do daring things?
No.
You would not. Okay. So basically, what enticed you to climb 24 feet above the treehouse?
What?
What enticed you to climb 24 feet above the treehouse?
I was dared.
Okay. So you're dared. So would you say you're an experienced tree climber?
Yes. I mean, I did gymnastics, so
Okay.
I had that experience.
Okay.
And we always climb the tree.
Okay. So do you play around other various tree houses around the neighborhood?
Not really. That one's just like the neighborhood tree house, so we always play on that tree.
So how many tree houses or platforms over the years has your dad helped build?
I'm not really sure, but
He's helped build tree houses in the past, correct?
correct.
Just around the neighborhood? Well, would you think that your dad would allow you to climb over the tree houses that he built?
I don't know.
So you don't know if your dad would allow you to climb over the tree houses that
No.
May
No.
May I talk to my counsel?
Sure. We sure do a lot of meeting around here.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
All right. Will you restate your name?
Ask and answered. Go ahead. Already asked.
If you state your name.
Already asked that.
All right, Rebecca, were you on any drugs the day you were climbing the tree?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Did you just say you suffered from ADD?
ADHD, yes.
So you were not on your medication the day of?
Nope.
Do you think that could have played a factor into climbing too far up the tree? Things got away from you?
No.
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And you said you do not remember climbing the tree and seeing the wires, but you also stated that you got close enough to notice that 3 of them had rubber insulated covers. When did you see that?
Like right when I got to the top, and then I blacked out.
But you just said you saw no wires climbing up.
I didn't see them climbing up, but like right when I got up there.
So did you get shocked on the way down?
No.
So when did you get shocked?
Right at the top.
All right. All right. The tree houses. Your father has built a tree house there. Would he let you go there every day and climb in that tree?
He didn't build the treehouse there. He built a swing.
Build a swing. All right. I don't think he says that in his deposition.
It does
would you like
say
to
that.
change that in your testimony?
It's not in her
No.
It's not in her affidavit.
Oh, not in her. That's in John Carpenter's deposition. I'm sorry. You only climbed the tree after school hours. Is that?
Yeah.
Well, I have
Okay.
I have two testimony, or once the school teachers come up on the stand, I'm sure they'll testify.
They haven't yet, so you can't refer to that.
All right. Well, when can I do that?
Do that later.
All right.
Probably.
Well, the teachers have. All right. I'm just gonna go sit down.
Beautiful.
That was incredible.
Do you have any more questions?
You want to?
No, sir. No, Your Honor.
Okay, do you care to redirect?
We do care to redirect, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may I approach the stand?
Yes. In fact, hold on a second. I assume, based on reactions, that you all are going to recross.
Yes, Your Honor.
And are you going to recross?
Possibly.
And are you going to? You won't know yet. And since we're approaching 10:10, we better make the change. Okay. So we're not through with you, but for right now we are. So you can step down and you'll come back.
This is good. This is John Carpenter.
Okay, so you're going to call your first, you're going to give your opening statement first, and then we're going to call a witness, and then we'll get to Mr. Cooper from Clemson. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then you may give your opening statement at the presentation. Make sure you face the jury when you do.
Oh, until they had to take your own meds.
Hello. So, I intend to prove that my client, John Carpenter, should not be liable for any injuries that occurred on the day of the accident. He simply was doing his part in the community and wanted to create a safe place for children to play. The treehouse he built had no defective or loose parts, and Mr. Carpenter spent many hours to make sure it was held to a high safety standard. Through testimony from various neighborhood residents, you will realize that treehouse building has been a popular pastime in this neighborhood. The tree the accident occurred on has been home to various platforms and tree houses over the decades. The tree has been known as the neighborhood climbing tree, and kids enjoy what the tree has to offer, most under parental supervision. There has always been a platform and various tree houses in that tree, and John was simply upgrading the tree. I'd also like to clarify that this is the first thing that John's ever built in this tree. My client should not be responsible for a child who climbs 24 feet above a tree house he built. John Carpenter was not aware of any power lines running through the tree and did not see any wires when he was constructing the treehouse. John Carpenter is a man of honor and class and should not be responsible for children pushing the boundaries and abusing this popular neighborhood climbing tree. Thank you.
All right. You can sit. All right, who's your first witness?
Mr. John Carpenter.
John Carpenter, to the stand, please. For those of you out there who don't know what's getting ready to happen, Mr. Cooper could not be with us today. He's one of the attorneys for the homeowner, and he is at Clemson University and will be direct examining his witnesses via Skype from Clemson. So we will hopefully, all of that will work out great and won't have any problems, but we will have to wait and see until about 10:30 on that. All right. You ready? Hmm? This is my own safe area. Okay, so be careful when you're coming up here. I will help you up there. Okay. Close to the mic, loudly. Okay. Here we go. And don't touch the partition, it'll roll off. What's the partition? Go.
Please state your name to the court.
John Carpenter.
Where were you born?
Miami, Florida.
Miami, Florida. And you grew up in Miami?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where did you go to high school?
Senior high school.
Okay, and then is it true that after high school you went to the Marines?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Why did you leave the Marines?
Because I got in a car accident and broke both my legs and shattered my ankle.
And you were spent eight months hospitalized?
Objection, Your Honor. Leading question.
I'm sorry?
It's a leading question. He asked.
Yeah, watch it a little bit there.
Okay. What brought you to Billings, Montana?
Say that again?
What brought you to Billings, Montana? What brought you to Montana?
There was booming office supply business, and I opened my office retail supply.
How long have you been living here in Montana?
25 years.
25 years. Do you have any children?
3.
And are you a religious man?
Yes, sir.
Leading question. Objection.
It's not leading. Go ahead.
Have you ever committed any felonies or been arrested?
No, sir, never.
Sir. Okay. And so you say you're married. How long have you been married for?
25 years.
25 years. So what other things do you do for the community?
I'm presently member of the church board, executive director of the church, director of the golf club, of the hospital, whatever, and then the veterans club.
Wow. So how many tree houses have you seen been like constructed around the community? So how many tree houses at one point do you think there is around the residential area?
Around 5.
Around 5, the whole area. And how many tree houses have you seen in the specific tree of the accident?
None. I've just built one on a platform.
But you've seen platforms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Leading question.
Okay.
Mr. Sayer, would you try to not tell him what to say, and let's rephrase the question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Graham, may I see you over here, please?
How long was the tree house in the tree for after you built it, before the accident?
2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks. How long did it take you to build the tree house?
Probably a week and a half.
How good was the quality of the tree house?
It was really good. I built it for the protection of the kids because I didn't want them falling out.
Okay. So when you built the tree house, did you see any electrical wiring?
No, sir, not at all.
Okay. How long have you known the Curtis family for?
Since I've moved to my house, because they're my next door neighbor.
How would you describe their parenting?
Well, I think Miss Rebecca Curtis should be loved and disciplined more, because I always see her like alone, wandering around,
doing whatever she wants.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So why weren't you able to see electrical wires in the tree?
Because there's dense foliage, so I just never saw the wires.
So why did you build the tree house in the first place?
Because the platform didn't look safe for the children, so I just thought to build a tree house.
Did you feel you're doing your part in the community?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, sir. That's all I have, Your Honor.
I'll be with you a sec. Hold on.
It's your turn to cross. You're going to get ready to cross.
I'm sorry.
I'm finished, Your
You're
Honor.
finished? Okay. Cross-examine, which would come to you all. So let's go to you first.
Yes, we like to cross.
Okay.
May I have her to stand? Podium.
Yep.
Mr. Carpenter, have you ever placed any warning signs around the treehouse?
No, sir.
Did you ever talk to kids about safety of the treehouse?
Well, I built the platform for the safety of the kids, so I mean, I tried helping.
Your affidavit says you did not.
Move the mic towards you. There you go.
Your affidavit states that you did not warn the kids of any safety.
I didn't warn them, but I built the platform for the safety.
How would a platform in a tree be safe?
Because it was just a platform with no railing around it.
A platform with no railing around it is safe for kids to be on?
No, I built a platform with railing around it. It was before not a platform with railing.
Okay, thank you. And how did you feel that building the treehouse would be a safe place for children to be?
Because it's better than a platform in a tree.
I mean, a treehouse is. I mean, did you ask the school for permission to build this tree?
No.
So you just assumed that it would be okay to.
Well, because there was existing platforms in the tree.
Right, but does that make it okay?
Yeah.
Is that legal?
I mean, it's a climbing tree.
But is it the treehouse tree?
What?
I mean, there's a platform in it, so yeah.
So does the fact that others had built platforms in the past exempt you from the fact that you built a tree on the premises of somebody else?
Yeah.
Do you have evidence to support this? So you just assume you're exempt from the law?
Move on.
How do you know that no one has ever climbed above the heights of 25 feet?
Because I've been here for 25 years and I've never seen anyone do that.
And you have
it's a difficult tree to climb.
You have constant observation of the tree?
Not constant, but I see it most of the time.
And how can you say that the treehouse was meant for the kids, but then claim that you weren't negligent for bringing them to the tree?
Say that again?
How can you say that the treehouse was meant for the kids, but then claim that you weren't negligent for bringing them up in the tree?
Object. Call on for conclusion.
Ask the question again.
How can you say that the treehouse was meant for the kids and then not be negligent for bringing them into the tree?
Sustained.
How can you,
Is this a tag team thing over here? What's going on? You're not even, get onto your table, please.
You state that you're a good friend of the Curtis family?
Of who?
The Curtis family?
Yes, sir. Somewhat. They just live next door to me.
And then how can you say that Rebecca hasn't received any significant care, considering you must know the circumstances of the Curtis family with the Joe's work?
I didn't understand a word of that.
How can you say that Rebecca hasn't received some significant care, considering you must know the circumstances of the Curtis family with Joe's work?
Objection. Call on for a conclusion.
Sustained.
Have you ever been informed of the attractive nuisance doctrine?
No, sir.
Okay, well, can I inform you of that, please? The doctrine is a person who has instrumentality or condition upon his own premises, or who creates such a condition on the premises of another or in a public place which may reasonably be apprehended to be a source of danger to children, is under duty to take such precautions as a reasonably prudent man who would take to prevent injury to children of tender years who knows could be accustomed to resort there, or who may be there. Do you feel that you violated this law?
No.
You didn't provide an attractive nuisance?
Well, sure I did, but there was already a platform there, so there was already an attractive nuisance.
That doesn't make it okay.
Thank you.
In your affidavit, it says multiple neighbors, including Joe Curtis, had built a tree, had either built a platform or a swing there. Is that true?
Say it again?
In your affidavit, it says multiple neighbors, including Joe Curtis, had built either a platform or a swing there in that tree. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Graham.
Your Honor, may I approach the stand?
Yes, you may. You look very nice today, Mr. Thompson.
Thank you. Mr. Carpenter, do you have kids?
Yes, sir. 3.
Did they climb that tree?
Yes, sir.
When they were climbing the tree, were you watching them?
Most of the time.
And so, with the Curtis family, would you say that Rebecca has given enough?
Scoot the mic up a little bit to you.
Would you say that Rebecca has had enough attention with her family?
Hasn't?
Has she? Has she had an
I see her
adequate amount of
alone
attention?
a lot.
You've seen her alone a lot?
Yeah.
So she's unaccounted for most of the time?
Yeah.
Okay, no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Bunning.
Mr. Carpenter, when you built the treehouse, what were your intentions?
Just to build a safe place for kids to play at.
Okay, so would you say that it was designed to provide entertainment for the kids of the community? Okay, and so you did so in good conscience. You built the treehouse in good conscience. You did it with good intentions.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
no further questions.
Sweet. Redirect.
Okay, thanks. Redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, you may step down.
Wait for Mr. Cooper.
Huh?
Gotta wait for Mr. Cooper.
Okay. It's ready. She says we're ready. Mr. Sayer, is he strictly direct examining?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is he going to stay on in case we go back to redirect? I think he mentioned that to me. After he gets done and we go through cross-examination, we come back to him. Is he going to stay on?
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's find out. I'll ask that when we let me have a conversation with him before we get started.
Sir, I can redirect if he doesn't stay on.
I'm sorry?
I can always redirect if he
Okay,
doesn't stay
okay.
on. So.
And This is new for us, so if you all can keep your noise to a minimum, I would appreciate it, even if something goes wrong.
We'd like to call up Lee Smith to the.
Lee Smith, come to the stand.
Well, if you need me to, clearly.
This is my unsafe area.
What if it just like, yeah, right in.
It will roll off.
I can. No.
Kind of. Here we go.
Okay, it's fine.
It's actually working pretty well.
Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Cooper.
How's it going?
Good. You're going to direct, what's the matter? Yeah. You're going to direct examine, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. Are you going to, when you get through with your direct examination and we go through cross-examination, and hold on, and we get back to redirect, are you going to stay on for that, or are you just direct examining witnesses for one time?
I was just direct examining Mr. Bryden Smith and Mr. Lee Smith.
Okay, but after we get through with our first round of cross-examining questions, you have the option, is he still with me? You have the option of redirecting. Are you going to stay on for that?
Okay, yeah.
Are you okay with doing that?
I think I will be.
Okay, and if we have to cut it short, that's fine, all right?
Cool.
Okay, yeah.
Hey.
Okay.
All right, so he's been sworn in, and you are welcome to begin your direct examination.
All right. May I? Here, hold on. Your Honor, may it please the court.
Go ahead.
Mr. Smith, how old are you?
60 years old. 60.
All right. What did you do for a living before retiring?
Before I moved to Montana. Can you repeat that again?
What did you do for a living before retiring?
Oh, I was a co-maker of the Good Music record label, and then I moved to. Yeah.
When did you move to Billings, Montana?
When? 2 years ago.
Okay. Now your house is only 2 houses down from John Carpenter's house. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In your deposition, you said that after living as neighbors with Mr. Carpenter, you and him have gotten to be best friends. Is this true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you could say that you're over at his house a decent amount as friends.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever noticed a boundary separating John Carpenter's backyard from the school property? Like a fence or anything?
No, sir. No fences, nothing.
Okay. So the entire backyard is open to the school ground, and the treehouse that Mr. Carpenter built, and the treehouse that Mr. John Carpenter built. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, have you yourself ever built a treehouse in that very same cottonwood tree?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Has anyone else ever built a treehouse in the old cottonwood tree besides you and Mr. Carpenter?
Yes, sir. Even Robbie Curtis, dad himself did it.
Who?
Yeah, Robbie Curtis. Wait, no.
Okay. All right. No further questions,
Rebecca.
Your Honor.
Rebecca Curtis.
Rebecca Curtis. Sorry.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Cooper. Cross-examine.
May I approach the podium, Your Honor?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Figari.
Mr. Smith, the tree in which the incident occurred is known as the climbing tree, correct?
Yes.
Why didn't you
Objection, calling for
consider it?
conclusion.
It's cross-examining. On cross-examination, I'll allow it. Go ahead.
Why didn't you consider it an issue that wires were running nearby the treehouse?
What's up? What's that?
Speak a little slower, please.
Why did you not consider it an issue that wires were running near the treehouse and the climbing tree?
I don't understand what she's saying.
Ask it a little slower. Why did you not consider it an issue?
Well, it's a climbing tree. Wait, what? I don't understand your question. I'm sorry.
Were you aware that there were wires running near the tree?
No.
Okay. It says in your affidavit that you believe that the school officials knew this tree was being climbed consistently. Is this correct?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
In your affidavit, it also says you heard a conversation about two boys. What was it about?
Oh, they were competing to see who can climb up higher.
Do you think this... So were they daring each other, Mr. Smith?
Objection, lack of personal knowledge.
I'll agree with that. I'll sustain the objection. Ask another question, please.
Do you think this competition is why Rebecca possibly ended up so high in the tree?
Objection, lack of personal knowledge.
I'll agree with that.
Okay. May I consult my counsel, please?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
Who is this person? Is this? Hey, we gotta go. Chris, you take
Ready?
I think we're done with cross-examination.
You're done with cross-examining? All right. Mr. Turrentine. Oh, I apologize. Ms. Skinner?
Your Honor, may I approach the podium?
Yes, you may.
We can recross. All right, you're not doing cross-examination. Okay, so you're fine.
Scoot the mic towards you,
That
please.
wasn't. That was supposed to be offensive. That wasn't supposed to be offensive. You can't do it anymore.
In your affidavit, you stated.
Scoot the mic towards you, please.
In your affidavit, you stated that you later overheard a conversation between two young boys saying, "God, maybe we shouldn't have dared him to go up so high." You heard this, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Who were?
Oh, here. Let me object.
Were those boys climbing the tree with Rebecca?
Yes, ma'am.
You stated that there were no fences between John Carpenter's property and the school, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
But there was fencing running along the state highway and the school.
A what?
There was fencing running along the state highway and the school drive, correct? Not correct?
No.
Okay, may I...
Can you show that under the document camera?
No.
Your Honor, may I approach my counsel?
Yes.
I'm going to go ask him later.
I'm going to text you.
You must have,
Can I just walk up there?
there was fencing along the other side. No further questions.
All right.
We'd like to pass on cross-examination.
All right. Do you care to read? Mr. Cooper?
Yes.
Do you care to redirect?
No, I did not.
All right. Then this witness will step down and we'll bring up another.
All right. I'd like to call Mr. Brighton Smith.
That was him.
That was Lee Smith.
Where's Brighton Smith?
Bryson Smith is brought.
Where is he? Oh.
This is my unsafe area. So be careful, okay? You're not going to fall, but just realize it's my unsafe area. Lean on the petition to fall because it's on rollers. So you'll fall over. Are you ready? The only thing I worry about you is not talking loud enough. So just talk loud. Okay. I'll help you up here and get real close. And keep your composure with Cooper in that this is so different than you. proceed. Mr. Cooper, go ahead.
Awesome. Mr. Smith, how old are you?
27.
Where were you born?
Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Okay, where did you attend high school and college?
I went to Berkeley.
Okay. What did you major in at Berkeley?
Finance.
Okay. What do you do for a living right now?
I'm an investment banker.
Okay. And when did you move to Billings, Montana?
One more time?
When did you move to Billings, Montana?
2 years ago.
Okay. Why did you move there?
I was moved to a different branch.
Okay. Would you say that you know the plaintiff as friends or just as acquaintances?
Will you repeat the question?
Would you say that you know the plaintiff as friends or just as acquaintances?
Acquaintances.
Okay. Where do you live in proximity to the accident, where the accident happened?
I live 3 houses down on the other side of the highway.
All right. During the time before and after the accident, what were you doing?
I was on my way home from work. I was just stopping by.
Okay. Would you say that you do that about every day?
One more time?
Would you say that you walk by the tree that the incident happened in about every day?
I drive past it at least one time.
Okay. Have you noticed anything strange about John Carpenter's backyard?
That there's no fence dividing the school property and his property.
There's no boundary separating the school and John Carpenter's backyard?
Yes.
Okay. All right, no further questions.
All right, we'll cross-examine. Mr. Cannon?
Your Honor, may I approach the podium?
Yes. I'm going to end up taking roll, so why don't you sit tight for just a second. We won't recess yet, but just Mr. Cooper, hold on with us. I'm going to take roll for another class. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Are we in third? We're getting ready to start third?
Sorry?
It's still 35, so
it's on the schedule, third? Are we in third?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Armand, TJ's here. Bert, Austin. Benjamin.
What were they objecting? My questions.
Jackson. Catherine. Case. Connor down here. Hayden and Parker. It was pretty lame. Brittany. Gowdy. Kyle. Harrison. Johnston. Kelson. Emma. Arthur Daniel Robert McIntosh III. Sarah. Rigsy. Sanders. Schuler.
Dirty Dave is.
Thomas. Where? Rob's down there. Kennedy. Willie. Bedford's down here. Nicholas. Hurry up.
Oh, no, Schuler.
Schuler, what schedule are you on?
The dirty schedule.
Good Lord. I'm still waiting for my Christmas CD. Yeah, whatever. Okay. Here we go.
Mr. Smith, do you yourself have any kids?
No.
All right. In your affidavit, it says that Rebecca seems unable to sit still for long periods of time. Do you believe this is abnormal for a child?
It's not really, but, you know.
Okay. You also say in your affidavit that you described Rebecca as being like mischievous, and you had a specific instance where apparently she pool hopped. Do you think that is uncommon for kids?
She has broken into my backyard and swam in my pool multiple times. It's not just once.
So you're changing your affidavit?
No, it does not say only once.
Okay, all right.
Read.
It says also in your affidavit that you have talked to people in the neighborhood as well as the power line company to make sure there was no threat that the tree could disrupt the power line. Did they respond to you?
Yes, many of the neighbors agreed that the tree proposed no threat, and because it's been there forever. It's the climbing tree.
Okay, so they thought that the climbing tree with the power lines running through it was good. They thought that was fine.
Objection, calling for a conclusion.
Yeah, I'll sustain it. Let's rephrase it.
So they thought that there was no threat with the climbing tree and having wires running through it. All the neighbors agreed.
Objection, lack of personal knowledge.
I'll agree with that.
He asked them.
I'll agree with that. Rephrase it.
So it was a general consensus that they all agreed that it was safe.
Ask it.
Objection.
Objection,
Ask
lack of
it.
personal knowledge.
Objection.
Ask it. Was
it safe? Do you personally believe it was safe to have the wires running through the tree?
Yes.
Objection, call for
because
conclusion.
overruled?
Answer.
Answer the question.
Yes, I think it's safe, but I don't think it's safe for a kid to be kind of stupid and climb 30 feet like a monkey.
Like a monkey. All
yes.
Right. Interesting. Did you ever think to maybe put a sign or anything like that? Or warn Mr. Carpenter to put a sign?
No, but there is a sign on my back gate, which she disobeyed when she broke into my...
It's irrelevant. That's not what I was asking you at all.
I know, but
Okay.
earlier
Ask
in
the
the...
next question.
I'm done, Your Honor.
All
Thank
right.
you. No more questions.
You can't.
I'm done.
Mr.
May I approach the stand?
Quick, yes. We're coming back to you in a minute, Mr. Cooper.
Mr. Smith, regarding the pool hopping, did you ever pool hop when you were younger?
No.
You've never done that before?
No, I was raised very strictly.
You were? And do you believe it's uncommon for kids to cause mischief around the neighborhood?
I wouldn't know. I've never had friends that... Me and my
I
friends
didn't
never
ask if
did
you
stuff
did.
like that.
I was just asking
we never did stuff like that.
Objection, lack of personal knowledge.
Overruled. Go ahead.
I was asking, would you consider it to be uncommon for kids to engage in mischief around the neighborhood?
Yes, but they can not do...
I'm sorry. I know what you're talking about.
Or best evidence rule. I mean, is that the original source? Is that the original letter? Is that directly from your house?
Yes, it is.
This is the original letter.
Was there any folds in that letter to prove that it came in an envelope, or was it in just like a manila folder?
It was put on his porch directly.
It was
It was put on his porch directly.
There is,
Even his address has been blacked out to protect his identity.
That letter looks like it came fresh off a printer. There's no proof that was even delivered.
This evidence was reviewed.
This is a mock trial.
What does an old piece of paper look like and one that come off the printer? They both look the same. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry.
Is this an original or is this a copy?
This is an original. It was not put in an envelope. It was delivered directly to Brighton Smith's house, not in an envelope. It was taped to his front door.
And
Where's the tape, Mark?
would it be possible that I could finish?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. It has not been notarized to show that it's an original.
Okay.
Okay, so I question the authenticity of whether it's been doctored or not. So I'm making that comment. I'm
Okay.
going to allow it to be used in evidence, but I'm also going to make the comment that I question the authenticity since it hasn't been notarized as an original.
Okay, yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
No further motions.
You're cool. It's okay. You can use it. Use it. Well, you're the one that brought it up.
Chip, use it. Use it. Use it. How's that going to work with the screen?
Uh-uh.
Hand it to him.
Okay. Without being objected to, he's going to read it.
Mr. Smith, can you read the letter aloud, please?
Dear Mr. Brighton Smith, it has come to my attention that a potential hazard exists in a tree located on Central High School property, directly adjacent to your home. One of my foremen informed me yesterday that a large wooden platform sits in between the branches of the cottonwood tree located in the very corner of Central High Recreational Yard. As you may already know, our company operates and maintains multiple electrical wires running through the easement located directly behind the recreational yard. The tree has been trimmed as much as possible without intruding into school property. However, it appears that it would be fairly easy for someone climbing the tree to access the wires if they use the platform as a means. These wires, one of which carries 8,000 volts of uninsulated electricity, are incredibly dangerous to anyone moving within their vicinity and pose a life-threatening hazard to any student deciding to climb the tree. We are writing you and your neighbors on Victoria Drive to request that you inform your children of the dangers of climbing this particular tree, as well as tree climbing in general. We rarely experience accidents involving our power lines, but do not want to risk any harm coming to the children of this neighborhood. We at SME thank you for your loyalty to this company and your contributions to the community of Billings.
Will you please read who the letter was signed by? Who the letter was written by? It's the bottom.
Sincerely, Alex Peterson.
Okay, no further questions.
All right. Mr. Cooper, do you care to redirect?
No, I'm not.
All right. Mr. Cooper, is that all for you today?
That is.
Mr. Cooper, if you see a neat hat in Clemson and it has Jay Harris's name on it, you can bring it.
Okay.
See you. Thank you very much. Good job, my friend.
All right, thanks.
Your Honor, may I approach the bench real quick?
Yeah.
Should we join him? Crossing him again.
Thank you, Sean. That's where I'm going to make mine. Hey, but if I were you, I wouldn't refer to it. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get me a cup of coffee. If you have 30 seconds that you need to take care of business, you may, and I mean 30 seconds, that's it, all right?
It's been changed.
table. Evidence table.
Oh. So they're not even going to bring that up?
If that's what they present, then I won't allow it because that's a copy. So just let me deal with it. Where's Mr. Turntime?
Yo.
William, can we get on my time schedule and not yours, please?
Who's asking? Who's talking to Piper?
Now, we can use the document camera now. Mr. Bunning, who are you talking with?
Which one of us are talking to Piper?
I'm sorry.
He already read it out loud. I don't think there's an
Sorry.
issue.
Mr. Skinner, as long as I love that hat, that's wonderful, but you can take it off. Okay, do you have any more witnesses?
No, Your Honor.
So does...
So I think we're
We're done.
Recrossing Rebecca.
I know that, but in reality, you're resting at the present time. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. So now we're back to recrossing, and you are on the stand, right?
Rebecca, yes.
All right.
And have you been crossed yet? Yes. Okay, and did we redirect? We haven't redirected yet. I was about to ask her a question, remember?
No, it's not her testimony.
What was I about
Please
to ask?
remember you're still under oath.
Yeah.
All right.
Coach, I was about to start the redirect.
Redirect, go ahead.
So, Ms. Curtis, due to your accident, or how has this accident impacted your future career?
Well, I mean, I'm not allowed to. I was going to go to college for gymnastics, and now I can't. And I can't really do anything on my own, so.
So what about job-wise?
It's hard to do things on my own, so I imagine it'd be hard to do a job without assistance.
And is this a function of your accident?
Yes.
No further questions.
Thank you. Care to recross? Have I lost power?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
We're going to pass.
You're going to pass?
We're going to pass.
I'm sorry?
We're going to pass.
All right. Is your mic on?
It's on, but it's really low.
Okay. You can crank it
up. All right. Yeah. That's her.
All right. Call your next witness.
Your Honor, we'd like to call Dr. Briggs to the stand. Ready, Your Honor. Would you please state your name?
Dr. George Briggs.
When and where were you born, Dr. Briggs?
I was born in North Palm Beach, Florida on March 2nd, 1961.
And where did you go to medical school?
Harvard Medical.
Where do you currently work?
Billings Medical Center, Billings, Montana.
And what was your medical specialty?
Well, after graduating from Harvard, I focused on general surgery at Baylor Hospital in Dallas, Texas.
Your Honor, we'd like to have Dr. Briggs be an expert witness.
Expert witness in what field?
In surgery.
In surgery? General,
Surgery of what?
Yeah, general surgery.
General surgery?
Yeah, it's just
all
general
right,
surgery.
and that's what your expertise will be in.
All right.
Go ahead.
Dr. Briggs, how do you know the Curtis family?
A year after I moved to Billings, I was delivering babies at the medical center, and Rebecca came in. She was the firstborn baby. And then the other two babies, Michael and Blake, came in. So I delivered all three babies. They've come back for a few minor injuries, but I'm pretty good friends with the family. So.
All right. And when did you see Rebecca Curtis after her injury?
It was about 4 o'clock that Monday on August 6th.
And what were the repercussions of her accident?
Well, she suffered post-traumatic stress disorder. She had a pre-existing learning disability that had been compounded. Her right arm was amputated at the elbow along with her left pinky. A significant scar on her back and legs.
All right. Your Honor, we'd like to enter evidence exhibit
Get the mic
A.
towards you, please.
Oh, Your Honor, we'd like to enter evidence exhibit A.
All right. What
May I
is
approach
it?
the bench?
What is it?
It is the total fees that are expected
Okay.
for the
All of you
damage.
have seen that. So,
Yeah. All right. So,
okay. Go ahead.
Can I bring it up? I mean, you're good. We're good here. All right. Oh, right.
Why don't you put it up on the document camera? You do? Okay.
Pressman, yeah.
It's two. I'm gonna let you go down there.
Give her time.
Is this on?
The other projector. Yeah, that one's probably not on.
How many attorneys take to turn on a document?
Mr. Cannon, you need to let him come down and see that. Is it showing up?
Yes, it's 4 more seconds. Your Honor, may Dr. Briggs come down to further examine the evidence?
Dr. Briggs, get the mic. It's a little bright in here, so it's not going to show up great.
We ready to go on?
You need my help?
No, we got it.
Okay. All right, let's proceed.
Dr. Briggs, do you recognize this evidence?
Yes, I do.
Is it your signature at the bottom of the page?
Yes, it is.
What are the total costs for the day of the injury for Rebecca?
The day of the injury, the total medical bill was $540,000.
Speak up.
$540,000.
And how much money is expected to be lost every year of life for Rebecca Curtis?
For the following years, it is roughly $75,000. I'm sorry, $225,000 every year for the rest of her life.
And what is the average life expectancy for Rebecca?
For a 16-year-old girl, about 73 years.
So what does that bring the total to for the fees that would be reasonable for?
The total medical bill throughout her entire life would be $12.1 million.
All right, very good. You may take the bench.
Speak up.
You may take the bench. We're done with the evidence. Dr. Briggs, in your expert opinion, why do you believe Rebecca does not remember the injury?
After 8,000 volts of electricity ran through her body, running out all four appendages, including her back, she fell some 35 feet to her head, suffering a concussion. So this is the probable cause of her memory loss.
And how likely is someone to survive an injury of this?
Chances are slim and none.
In your expert opinion, what do you believe was Rebecca's original mental and physical state?
She was near average, if not just average intelligent student. Physical abilities were above average, being on the gymnastics team.
And how do you believe her learning disability will be affected by this concussion in the fall?
Well, she had a pre-existing learning disability that has been further compounded. She also suffered post-traumatic stress disorder.
Very good. And when do you believe Rebecca will be able to engage in mental and the physical activities that she used to?
Never.
No more questions, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Cannon. Excuse me, cross-examine.
Your Honor, may I approach the podium?
Yes, you may.
Dr. Briggs, how long have you said that you've been the family doctor?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been the family doctor?
Family.
Family. Like the family.
Probably about 10 years.
About 10 years. So you are the doctor that they call if they have anything to deal with
Yes.
medically? So she came to you for her ADHD pills, or did she come to you for her pills?
She did not.
So you did not prescribe the pills to her?
No.
And do you know the doctor that did prescribe the pills
I do
to her?
not.
Okay. And do you know the repercussions of not taking those ADHD pills? Can you give me your expert opinion and tell me what that could be?
He's an expert surgeon, not an expert on ADHD pills.
And thank you for that, but I'm going to allow it.
The causes of not taking her medicine?
Yes. I'm sure you learned that in medical
No,
school.
that's not what you meant. Ask the question again.
What are the repercussions of her not taking her ADHD medication?
Lack of personal knowledge.
Well, we're getting ready to find out.
She would have, she would be hyper, she would be not able to focus as well, but
all right, so
nothing
she
too
would
severe.
not she would not be able to focus, and earlier she stated that she did not take her medication that day, so she would have not been able to focus when she was climbing the tree, so she could have lost her balance.
Objection, Your Honor. Conclusion. Drawing conclusions.
You made your point. Move on.
And can you describe the test that you conducted on her at the hospital after the injury?
She suffered
Not her
many-
injuries, what the tests were that you conducted.
I'm sorry?
The test to find out what the injuries were. Can you tell me all the different tests?
Well, that was dealt with the other surgeons. I'm the chief medical surgeon, so I overlook.
Okay, so you know about everything that goes on because you're the chief. So what was the thing they were doing?
The things that went on were they did a checkup, they healed the wounds, they had to immediately amputate her right arm and left pinky due to excessive burns. Does that cover it?
All right, that's good. So that is all to your knowledge that you know of the tests that they did on her, correct?
Yes.
So you do not know if they did any tests to see whether she was under the influence of any sort of illegal drugs or illegal alcohol?
I assume that they did.
They did?
Yes.
Okay, and even though you just said that that is all the
He
tests
said
you
he
know.
assumed they did.
No further questions.
Thank you, Mr. Turntine. Mr.
Your Honor,
Bunning.
may I approach the stand?
Yes, you may.
All right, let's check this shit out of him. God damn it. Let me get these up.
Dr. Briggs, could you describe to me your current position at the hospital?
I'm chief medical surgeon.
Chief medical surgeon, and what duties does that position entail?
I overlook the other surgeons in that department, in Aspen Meadows department at Billings Medical Center.
Okay, and how long have you known the Curtis family?
The Curtis family?
Asked and answered.
The question was, how long have you known the Curtis family? That
Yeah, and
hasn't
it's been asked and answered.
No, he asked, earlier they asked.
How long have you been the
long-
doctor?
I'm talking. I'm getting tired of this. They asked how long he had been their doctor. This. The question now is, how long have they known the family? Go ahead.
How long have you known the Curtis family?
For about 16 years.
Okay. And so would you say that you know Rebecca fairly well?
Yes.
Okay. And could you describe to me your relationship with Rebecca?
It's not really anything more than a close friendship. I delivered all 3 of the children, and they've just come in a couple times ever since then.
Just for clarification, I meant medical relationship, nothing else. Do you have any other contact with Rebecca besides delivering her?
No.
Okay. But it says in your deposition that you're the family doctor. What does that entail?
That entails that they come to me when they have minor injuries or they need checkups.
So like a general practitioner?
Yes.
Okay. And if they come to you for minor things and you know a lot about them, would you say that you're fairly familiar with their medical conditions?
I'm sorry, could you ask that again?
Oh, you said they come to you for minor issues.
Yes.
Are you fairly familiar with their medical conditions?
Somewhat, yes.
Okay. And you said you know a decent amount about Rebecca, and were you aware of her ADD diagnosis?
Yes.
You were aware of her diagnosis, but you were not aware that she was on medication?
No, I was not.
Okay. So you've stated that your duties entail that of a general practitioner as well as an expert surgeon. I'd like to ask you, what sort of behavior would a person with ADD exhibit without treatment? Not Rebecca specifically. What would somebody...
Asked and answered already.
No, that's been asked and answered. And again, that's really not his specialty. He gave his opinion of what he thought already. So we've already gone into that area, and we need to move on.
Okay. How did Rebecca behave around you when she was younger?
Before the accident?
Before the accident.
Just a normal girl, happy girl, average student, above average physical activity.
Okay. And let's see. Can I meet with counsel?
Yes.
He doesn't have shit else. He hasn't done anything on this witness. He's such a douche.
About how often would you see Rebecca Curtis?
Roughly every 1.5 years.
1.5 years. Did she ever come to you for checkups?
Let me see where we're going. I'll rule in a second. Go ahead.
Did she ever come to you for checkups?
Sometimes, yes.
Let me see where we're going. Or I'm going to take that orange tie and go.
Did she ever come to you for physicals?
Yes.
Yes.
That it
physical
wasn't
examination. Don't worry. This is going somewhere. Don't worry.
We've established that. Go on.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Do your forms, when a patient comes in for a physical, require them to state what sort of medication or drugs they are taking?
Yes.
They do.
Yes.
So it is fairly likely that your practice would have had knowledge of what medications Rebecca Curtis is on.
Well, that's dealt with other people who do physicals within the department. I don't do them myself.
Not you personally, though?
No.
Okay, but your practice could have information regarding what sort of medication Rebecca Curtis is on?
Sure.
Okay, but they did not prescribe it?
They did not prescribe it?
Did they not? But did they prescribe it? The medication?
No.
Okay.
No.
No further questions.
All right. Thank you.
That didn't do anything. Totally relevant.
Cross-examine?
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
He's such a douche.
All right. Mr. Dr. Briggs, so did you deliver her as a baby? Is that correct?
Yes.
Asked and answered.
All right. The jury and everyone, I would like to point out that these stories do not match up.
No. We don't point out to the jury at this time.
Sorry.
Ask questions.
Are you aware that she is 16 years old, but you've only been her doctor for 10 years? How is that physically possible for you to deliver her if she's...
I said I've known them for 16 years.
You said 10.
I said 16.
All right. Another thing is, so are you saying she, in your alpha data, she does not remember the accident? Is that correct?
Well, first off, I was a physician for 10 years. I've known them for 16 years, just to clarify.
But you delivered her when you weren't a physician?
I moved to Billings a year before I delivered her, which is when I met the Curtis family.
But what occupation were you when you delivered her?
I was a physician, then
All right.
promoted.
And then you also say that she does not remember the accident?
No.
But she clearly does remember the accident because just before I had questioned her, she was able to distinctly remember that there were three insulated wires while she was climbing the tree and back down the tree. So my question is there a reason that you misdiagnosed her for potential profit?
No.
Objection, Your Honor. Irrelevant. There's no profit involved.
Another point I would like to make is A simple search on the internet shows the potential risks of not taking your ADHD medicine. Would you like me to point them out to you? If you're
I'm
unfamiliar?
going to say move on because we've already established, number one, that's not his expertise. He gave his opinion on it, and you all agreed that this is not his expertise.
All right.
And
Well,
so we need to move on from that subject.
all right. The potential risks from stopping ADHD.
I said let's move on from that subject. No.
You can't just narrate
All right.
like that. It's narration. That's what that is. It's narration.
You can make that known during your closing statement.
All right. No further questions.
All right. Do you care to redirect?
No, thank you.
All right. You may step down. Call your next witness.
We'd like to call Joe Curtis to the stand, please.
Thought you all were done. My bad.
May I approach the podium, Your Honor?
Yes. I'll be right there. Hold on.
I just can't believe like most of this trial is just the brokenness of the evidence that they're trying to put in. It's just ridiculous.
Unsafe place.
Okay.
My unsafe place, so be careful coming up there. I'll get you up there and talk loud. Don't touch the partition in front. Do that. Right. Anything that will fall on you will allow it to be stupid, okay? All right.
This is such a shit show now. Everything's so unorganized. Who's next? Are they telling you how the case is going and stuff?
Go ahead.
Please state your name for the court.
Joe Curtis,
How old are you, Joe Curtis?
64 or 46. My bad.
Where are you from?
Laurel, Montana.
And where do you live now?
Billings, Montana.
And you're married?
Yep.
And how many kids do you have?
Yes, I'm married.
How many kids do you have?
3.
Can you tell me about your career path?
Yes. So on graduating high school, I enlisted in the Army, and at the beginning of my career, I mainly drove trucks filled with supplies to wherever they were needed until around 1989, I switched and I joined a regular infantry division, and I served in the Gulf War. And then after that, I stayed in the Army for another nine years, and then I came home to be with my family.
Okay. And when was your first child born?
1994.
So you were in the Army when your first child was born.
That's correct.
How often were you able to come home to see Rebecca?
It varied. The Army would give me, 2 to 3 week long rest and recuperation periods, so, 2 to 3 times a year.
Okay. How often are you gone from home for your job as a truck driver?
It varies. My schedule sometimes lets me come home in the evenings to be with my family. Other times I'll have to drive and I won't be able to come back until the next day. But my weekends are always, I make sure my weekends are always open to be with them.
Does your wife work?
She works part-time in the grocery store that I inherited from my father, because she just loves being with the customers and everything.
What's your relationship like with Rebecca?
Well, Rebecca was my oldest child, so I've been able to spend the most time with her of any of my children. And, when she was first born, I didn't get to see her very much because I was away in the Army. So whenever I was home, 2 to 3 week long periods, I would make sure to spend as much time possible with her. And now that I am home on a permanent basis, whenever I have free time, we go on hiking trips, fishing trips, whatever. She really likes the outdoors, so we do lots of outdoor activities.
Where were you when the accident occurred?
I was on the job, I was driving a truck.
Had you seen the treehouse prior to the accident?
I can get a sort of a glimpse of it from my backyard. Not a great look, but
So not up close?
Not up close.
Okay. Have you ever built anything in that tree?
Yes. When I first came back from the Army, I noticed that there was a swing hanging from the tree, and it looked weathered and just not fit for having children swing on it. It looked like it would fall down. So I took it down and I built a new one so that, my daughter and other kids could enjoy swinging from the tree. But that one eventually got weathered as well, so I had to take that down, I think when Rebecca was in 2nd grade, I believe.
So the swing is no longer there.
Swing is no longer there.
Were there electrical lines present when you replaced the swing?
No.
What changes have you seen in your daughter Rebecca since her accident?
Well, before she was, she loved being outdoors and she was very adventurous. She liked going on, all these trips that I took her on. We had a really great time and really became close. Now she just, she can't really do any of that anymore. And she can't do gymnastics. She really can't do any physical activity without assistance. So that's just been such a big part of her life was taken away by the accident.
How have the costs resulting from the accident affected you and your family?
Well, it's been really hard because Rebecca was, she was doing so well. And it's just been difficult for everyone in the family to just see her, before she was so active and, she loved to get out and just adventure and do,
How have the costs affected your family?
Well, we've never been stretched financially, but now that it looks like we're going to be having to take care of her for the rest of her life, or at least assist her somewhat, I'm a little bit worried about the financial implications.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Fugari. Mr. Irby, do you have enough time to eat? I'm going to let everyone else go shortly, but if you want a little extra time to go eat, I want you back at 12 o'clock. So you're sure? So you're good. All right. And you're gonna be up here at 12. Okay. All right. Cross-examine.
Your Honor, may I approach the stand?
Yes.
So you're a trucker, right?
That's right.
So my grandfather was a trucker, so I know that they were gone for long periods of time, weeks at a time. And so does your wife work normal hours during the summer?
No, she works part-time at my father's grocery store that I inherited. So.
What are the hours that she usually works?
They vary.
Lack of personal knowledge. It's her hours.
I mean, it seems like
it's her hours. It's his wife's hours. He doesn't have knowledge.
It's a wife.
Yeah,
but it can vary on.
You should know what your wife's doing.
Part-time, so they vary.
Overruled. It's his family. He should know about his family. So it is possible that Mr. Cannon.
Yes.
But she works weekdays.
Yes.
And so was she working at the time of the accident?
Yes.
She was. So Rebecca was unaccounted for during the time she was on the field?
Yes.
Okay. So for the swing, did you ever ask the school to put matters into your own hands and fix this swing?
No, I did not. I took it down and fixed it of my own accord.
Okay. So Rebecca was pretty much unaccounted for. That's fine. But so Rebecca was unaccounted for pretty much most of the summer.
Asked and answered.
Right?
That's asked and answered.
Okay.
Bring the mic towards you, please.
Okay. Do you consider Rebecca to be a child?
Yes.
So you believe that she requires supervision to avoid putting herself in danger?
No.
So you don't?
I don't believe that, no.
So you believe that she has the responsibility to take care of herself?
Yes.
And she understands the repercussions of trespassing? So you believe that she would understand those repercussions?
Overruled.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Okay, so since you think that she has a responsibility, so she has a responsibility to take care of herself and understand the consequences of trespassing?
I wasn't aware that she was trespassing. It's school grounds.
During the summer?
Sorry?
Never mind. Okay. But you do understand that she understands the dangers of climbing trees, and she understands the dangers of power lines?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
All right. Mr. Maynard?
May I approach the stand, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Mr. Curtis, why are you suing? Why do you feel you were not responsible and others are?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Why do you feel you're not responsible, but the school district, the power line company, and Mr. Carpenter are?
Because their negligence led to this accident occurring.
Was your negligence not to warn your children of the dangers of power lines?
I did not understand a single thing you just said.
Was your negligence of not informing your children of the dangers of power lines not negligence?
I didn't give my daughter a lecture on the dangers of power lines, but that's pretty much common sense to know that power lines electrocute you. So.
But your daughter says that she did not know power lines were dangerous.
She thought they were insulated.
She said she saw them and felt no danger.
She thought they were insulated. She didn't.
So should you have informed her that insulated wires can still be dangerous?
Yes.
Okay. I confer with my counsel.
Yes.
I'd like to ask a couple questions.
Go ahead.
Mr. Curtis, you just stated that it is common sense that power lines can electrocute you. Do you see that as claiming liability?
No.
So it's common sense that power lines electrocute you unless you're your daughter, who is somehow...
I think she's already stated that she wasn't fully aware of the danger until the accident had already occurred.
So is it common sense or is it not common sense? Please answer the question.
It's common sense to know that power lines are dangerous. It's another thing entirely for someone to, climb up a tree. And I think she's already stated that she didn't realize the power lines were there.
So she exercised a lack of common sense.
Sorry. Can you
repetition?
So she exercised a lack of common sense.
Repetition.
No,
you mentioned common sense.
She didn't realize the lines were there until the accident had already occurred. That's what she told you.
That's not what she told us. She told us she observed 4 power lines. No further question.
Once she reached the top of the tree.
No.
Assuming.
Your Honor, may I approach this Dan?
Yes.
Inaccurate. Can you say something? That's not accurate.
You can fix it. You'll have your opportunity to fix it. You're stressing over things you don't need to stress over.
Mr. Curtis?
Yep.
So how much climbing does your daughter do?
Sorry, what?
How much what?
How much climbing are you aware of your daughter doing? Tree climbing.
Tree climbing. Well, like I said, we did lots of outdoor activities together, so she's climbed trees plenty, I guess.
How many times a week do you see her in a tree?
Lack of personal knowledge. He isn't watching.
It's her dad.
I'll agree with that. He's out of town.
He's out of town a lot and doesn't supervise.
I don't have
doesn't supervise very much. Okay. Do you support people building structures around the neighborhood for your daughter to play on?
Not when they're built near power lines, no.
Right, but I'm saying in general, like, you appreciate when people build things and trees for other kids to play on.
Well, not really. This is the first time that...
No, I'm saying in the past, like, if you see like a tree house built, you appreciate that it's somewhere for kids to play.
I don't see tree houses very often just hanging around.
Well, in the testimony earlier, there's been like 5 tree houses at a time in this town.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
In the testimony earlier, there's been 5 tree houses in the town at the same time. Okay. Are you familiar with this particular cottonwood tree?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Are you familiar with this particular cottonwood tree?
Am I familiar with this particular tree?
Yes, the one that the accident happened on. Like, do you see it often?
I can see it. I can get a glimpse of it from my backyard, but I haven't observed the tree in detail.
Have you ever seen your daughter climb this tree?
No.
Okay. What other things are you involved in the community?
Well, I don't really have.
Yeah, I question the relevance of it as well. Let's move
on. Do you know John Carpenter?
Yes, he's my next door neighbor.
Do you believe that John Carpenter is a man of good character who had good intentions and meant to harm nobody?
Can you repeat that?
Do you believe that John Carpenter is a man of good character who had good intentions and meant no harm to anyone?
No.
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 So y'all are both Army men. Y'all have both been in the Army, and you don't think he's an honorable man?
He was in a different branch of the armed services than I was.
Okay, well, I'll leave it there.
That'd be good. We don't. You care to redirect?
No, we did not, Your Honor. Oh. What? You want to speak up? I can hear you. No, we're good. We said no. Yeah.
Hey, can I still go? Hey,
No, you said no more.
If
That's it? You're done.
no, he said I'm.
Call your next witness.
We're done. That's our last witness, Your Honor.
Call your next witness.
It's our last witness, Your Honor. Oh, we rest. Sorry, we rest.
Alden, you said no more questions.
All right, I have 11:31. I explained to you all at the beginning of today what the afternoon would be like, so this will be a very short lunch. We will begin at 12 o'clock.
This presentation is brought to you by HPTV. If you or someone you know would like to sponsor this unique TV station, please email Mrs. Kelly Snowder at snowdeck@hpasd.org. And from all of us here at HPTV, we thank you for watching.
Okay, I believe we're going to skip the school district and them presenting their case because of, again, witnesses need to be in different places. So we will begin with the power line company. So, gentlemen, if you'll call your first witness.
Opening statements.
Have you all done your opening statement? Okay,
No, sir.
all right. So, yes, go ahead and use your opening statement.
May I approach the podium?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the South Montana Electric Power Line Company has become a party to this case, which involves an accident injury of a young man who was seriously hurt when coming in contact with one of our high voltage lines. The power company in question is the one located behind the Central High School property and servicing the many industries and residents in the northern part of our community. Public utility companies and the like are in existence because they provide a very important service to our communities. They create, transmit, and provide low-cost electrical energy to our personal and business needs, and our vital industry to maintaining our way of life. Evidence and testimony in this case will show that it has been the policy and established record of the power company to provide this energy service reliably and with public safety foremost in mind. We start with the understanding that a power company cannot be an insurer of all public safety, cannot foresee all natural calamities, and certain unreasonable actions of individuals that countermand our good safety efforts. We are prepared to show that this light and power company has spent a great deal of time, effort, and money in educating the people to understand the power lines and are necessary in urban areas to satisfy the public energy needs. That people should realize that power lines should not be a place to play, and that parents should be expected to make sure their children are not climbing trees near power lines. That this is educational effort of safety has been successful will be a matter of record in this trial. We will show that this power company did not have an incident in over 15 years in following prescribed procedures and regulations and maintaining our transmission lines, or in following our tree trimming regulations and guideline procedures. The record will show that the tree involved in this electrical incident case was trimmed just 3 years prior to the incident, that the large tree limbs were trimmed back some 3 or 4 feet away from the power lines with no danger that they would break or fall off the line, thereby causing the line to fall to the ground and becoming a danger to people. In summary, we hold that the power company reasonably carried out its mission obligation in transmitting and maintaining its power lines. We hold that the mere fact that an incident occurred does not indicate that case of negligence exists against this power company. In looking for negligence and causation, you must look elsewhere, to the unreasonable behavior of parents who failed to warn and disallow the dangerous and unreasonable actions of their son in causing this incident. We expect that you will, upon hearing the facts, agree with us and find in favor of the power company line. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maynard.
Your Honor, we'd like to call Mike Mickelson to the stand.
I'm sorry?
We'd like to call Mike Mickelson to the stand.
All right.
Get ready for a meeting.
Where's the section?
I have these. But where's the? Sure.
matter? Yes. Go ahead.
Can you state your name for the court, please?
Mike Mickelson.
And how old are you, Mr. Mickelson?
30.
And can you tell us where you grew up?
Pegasus, Texas.
Okay. And where did you attend high school?
Pegasus High.
Okay. What year did you graduate?
1998.
And what did you do after high school?
We moved to Billings, Montana.
Okay. And what did you do right after moving to Billings?
I got a job at the Powerline Company.
Okay. And what was your job description?
Construction and tree trimming and maintenance.
Okay. And can you describe this job a little bit more to us?
I'd go around and trim the trees around power lines and do maintenance on the power lines.
Okay. And how long did you work as a tree trimmer?
5 years.
And have you received any sort of college education?
Yes. As I was working with the Powerline Company, I attended night school at Montana State University.
Okay. And what did you study at Montana State?
Earth science.
And what did you specialize in?
Dendrology.
Okay. And what year did you get your degree?
2003.
Okay. And can you explain to us what dendrology is exactly?
It's the study of trees and how they survive in the ecosystems.
Okay, and we'd like to establish this witness as an expert in
In
dendrology, the study of trees.
All right. Any questions? All right. Go ahead.
Were you promoted after earning your degree?
Yes, I was.
And to what position were you promoted?
Foreman.
Okay, can you tell me what your duties as a foreman were?
I oversee the trimming and the construction around power lines.
Was any maintenance done on the tree in the corner of the Central High recreational area?
It is done on a 6-year basis.
Okay, and when was the last time you did that?
March 3rd, 2007.
Okay. And what's the standard length of time for or between tree trimmings?
Standard time is 6 years.
Okay. And were there any specific hazards you noticed at this on this particular tree?
At the time when we went and trimmed the tree, the only hazard I saw was a decaying platform that was installed into the tree.
Okay. And what is the most common type of hazard posed by electrical wires?
The most common hazard would be a tree limb falling onto the power line.
Okay. And I'd like to introduce Exhibit C. It's in the book you gave us. It's just a company policy and procedures document.
All right. It's the original that's in the
It's the original.
in the packet of materials.
Yep.
That's fine. I turned everything off, so you'll have to turn it all back on. Hello. Testing. I don't feel like I'm as loud as I was. Turn on the big machine.
What is this thing they're putting in?
I turned it off, so you need to turn it on. Is it coming on?
Any trees growing on an established utility.
Is it on?
Do we have that with us? No. If they're under a tree, it will still be of an appropriate length if it was trimmed properly at that time. No. What about, let's see.
Is a
Mr. Mickelson, what does this document appear to be?
That is our policies and procedures for trimming trees.
And what purpose do your company's tree trimming procedures serve?
These serve as guidelines towards the way that we trim the trees.
Is your company required by law to follow these procedures?
No, they're not.
So you aren't legally bound by them?
Excuse me?
You aren't legally bound by them?
No, we're not legally bound.
Okay. So why do you follow them?
We follow them for the safety of the people and the trees.
Okay. And do you always follow the procedures to the T, exactly as they're stated?
No, we don't.
Okay. And how do you decide in what way you'll trim the tree?
We decide based on the type of tree, if it's a hardwood or softwood, and the beauty of the tree.
Okay, so if you don't follow them to the T every time, what purpose do they serve?
They serve to provide safety towards the tree, the people, and if there needs to be an issue, then we trim it if it regards the power lines.
Okay. It's more of a guideline. And how would you rate your company's maintenance of this particular tree in question?
This tree, very well.
Okay. And I don't think you've stated this for us actually. What kind of tree is the tree in question?
The tree in question is a cottonwood.
And is that a hardwood or a softwood tree?
It's a hardwood.
Excuse me, Mr. Bunting.
Yes.
Jury is being passed around a copy of what's on the screen, so please take a moment to make sure you understand everything. Go ahead, proceed. Sorry.
Sure. And how would your company normally trim this type of tree, a cottonwood?
We would trim in a 5-foot radius around the power lines.
5-foot radius of minor branches or major branches?
Minor branches.
Okay. And company policy dictates that other hardwoods be trimmed at a minimum of 5 feet, like you said, but you made an exception for this cottonwood. Why is that?
We made an exception for this cottonwood because the tree was not in the easement area. It was in the school property, and we could only trim in the easement area without permission from the property owner.
Okay. And remind us again when the last trimming of this tree was?
March 3rd, 2007.
Okay. And exactly how much did you trim off this particular tree?
At that time, we did not trim anything off of the tree. There was no need for it to be trimmed. It only extended into the easement area a few inches.
Okay. And and the time before that, how much did you trim off the tree?
The time before that, we trimmed approximately 3 feet.
Approximately 3 feet. Okay. And I'd like to continue down a different line of questioning now. What were you doing on the afternoon of March 3rd, 2010? This was the date of the second trimming of the tree.
We were trimming trees in the neighborhood in the area.
Okay. And in what specific area?
We were trimming trees on. We were about to go into the easement area. We were on Victoria Street.
Okay. And how long were you trimming this area?
At the time, it was only about a few hours since we started.
Okay. And about what time did this patrol begin?
Around 9 a.m.
Did you notice anything out of the ordinary during that time?
At the time, the only thing that we noticed that was out of the ordinary was a tree house had been built.
And why was that out of the ordinary?
It was new since the last time that we had checked, and there was a safety issue with the tree, with the tree house.
And was that and what was your first reaction to seeing this structure?
I notified my supervisor.
Okay. And why did you do that?
For the safety of anybody climbing the tree due to the power lines going through it.
Okay. And how might it endanger people climbing the tree?
There wasn't too much danger in climbing the tree, but there is, that sense that something could happen.
Okay. And on that date in 2010, what kind of maintenance did you do to this tree?
On that day, we did not do any maintenance.
Okay. And why is that?
The tree, its minor branches only extended into a few inches into the easement area.
Okay, so there's nothing to trim. And it's been, And what did you report back to your supervisor after you observed the dangerous-looking platform in the tree?
I told him that we should notify the people around in the area about the tree house and that it is in a dangerous tree.
Okay. And what did your supervisor do following this conversation?
To my knowledge, he sent out letters to the family members in the households.
And to the extent of your knowledge, was any more maintenance performed on this particular tree?
Excuse me?
To your knowledge, was any more maintenance performed on this particular tree?
No, sir, not to my tree.
We have no more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bunning. Next.
I just have one question, Your Honor.
I'm sorry?
I just have one question, Your Honor.
All right.
Is this particular tree a unique tree in the area? Is it the only one?
It is a very unique tree to the area. Cottonwoods usually grow in the eastern part of the United States, and a few grow in the southwest area.
It was surrounded by what type of trees again?
It was surrounded a lot by logpole pines.
All right, no more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Krieger. Gentlemen and ladies.
Yes. May I approach the podium, please?
Sure.
Where's the questions? Where are the questions?
Hi, Sam.
Mr. Mickelson, can you tell me what the scientific name of the cottonwood tree is?
The scientific name of the cottonwood tree is, if I remember right, it's Provoctus. Oh man, can't remember that last name.
Are you an expert in this field of dendrology?
I am in the areas of Montana. Since cottonwood does not grow in the Montana area, it's not a tree that I have complete knowledge over.
But I'm pretty sure dendrology is the study of plants and trees. Is that correct?
Not plants, but trees. And I've only had the degree not very long, and I've not had the ideal.
But you're an expert,
area.
and you haven't had the degree very long?
I'm an expert in the area in Montana. Yes, I am.
How can you be an expert in
Objection, repetition.
I think you've made your point.
And so how far was the wire from the nearest branch?
The wire was about 2.5, 3 feet.
So 2.5 to 3 feet?
Yes.
And isn't that within your guidelines?
It's 5 feet, but we cannot cut more than what's in the easement area, and we cut to the property line of the school, and we have to notify the owner of the property before we cut more and into their property.
Okay, and how many volts did that wire that uninsulated wire have?
8,000.
And is that normal for a wire of that high voltage to be uninsulated?
Yes.
Why is that?
All the wires that go through, those are the commercial wires that go through all the businesses, all the local area where they require a lot more voltage, and it's surrounded by, it's in the middle, which is the hardest point to reach.
Okay, yet there was a few other wires with lower voltage, yet they were insulated. I'm not sensing why the lower voltage wires would be insulated.
Those are insulated due to they have a higher risk of falling and being broken, and so with them being insulated and them having smaller voltages, it gives less risk.
Aren't they in the same area?
Relatively, they're a few inches, few feet apart.
So how does one line have a higher probability of falling than another?
They're smaller, and the 8,000 voltage is a little bit thicker, so it can support a little bit more weight.
Okay. And in your testimony a second ago, you stated that you look out for people that would be potentially climbing trees, but yet in your affidavit you said you're more concerned about the tree, the health of the tree and the wires, not the people that would be around the wires. Would you like to change your testimony on that?
No, because I do fear for the people, but the beauty of the tree has more concern towards them.
But in your statement to the police, in your affidavit, you said there is no concern for the people climbing the tree. So I'm asking if you would like to change your statement.
It does not say that in the affidavit.
It does not say that in the affidavit.
It certainly. Can I get the affidavit?
Yes.
This tends to protect the line, not intended as a protection or to adults.
That does not deal with this tree and this issue. That's a 10-foot radius, not a 5-foot radius that we trim the tree.
But yet you still say you're not dealing with children. Or
it's a softwood tree, not a hardwood tree. Softwood trees are a lot more dangerous to climb, considering the branches will bend, and it poses a lot more hazard to touching the wires.
Yet you still state you don't have. Is that
Objection, repetition.
But he hasn't answered the question.
He did answer the question.
Let's get to the question first. Okay, are you going to ask the question?
Would you like to change your testimony?
No. This is my testimony. That's an affidavit.
I know. That's what I was saying.
Okay, let's move on.
No further questions.
All right.
I have a few questions.
Go ahead.
You stated that trees needed to be trimmed every 6 years, correct?
Yes.
Okay. In July of the year before the accident, the school had a maintenance crew that to trim the branches 6 feet and below. In your opinion, do you think that the tree would be at an appropriate neatness during the accident?
Yes.
Okay, that is all. Thank you.
All right. You care to redirect?
We do not.
All right, you can step down. Free to go. I'll see you separately. Do you need him anymore?
No, we do not need him anymore.
You're sure?
We're pretty positive.
Okay, and I'm going to let him go. All right. Call your next witness.
Alex Peterson to the stand. Your Honor, may I approach the podium?
Who is this? Alex Peterson.
Is this Peter Mann? PR Man?
Okay.
Just look over the internet. What's wrong if I say, we'll consult him with that. You gotta be harsh. Do you see how harsh that is?
Will you please state your name?
Alex Peterson.
How old are you?
I am 53 years old.
Where were you born?
Houston, Texas.
Where did you attend college?
USC.
Would you scoot the mic up towards you?
Yes, sir.
What was your major at USC?
Public relations.
Where do you currently reside?
I live in Billings, Montana.
What was your job at that time?
My job at that time was I worked with the power line company of Southern Montana Electric.
And how long did you work there for?
21 years.
And what was your position there?
I was the public relations director for them.
And what were your responsibilities as a public relations director?
As a public relations director, my job description was to handle all advertising, and then the other part was to handle relations with the public and surrounding families.
Do you ever deal with any people or any crew members from the tree trimming crew?
Yes, I did. I dealt with Mr. Mike Mickelson, my foreman.
Did you deal with him on a regular basis?
Yes.
And what would he talk to you about?
He would usually talk to me about any complaints that people would come up to him about safety issues, things of that nature.
Okay. Were you ever contacted by him about the tree in question?
Objection,
yes,
leading.
He was.
I'm sorry?
Leading.
Rephrase, please.
Were you ever contacted by Mike Mickelson?
Leading.
Rephrase.
Did you ever have any problems with this tree?
Leading.
Go on.
Yes, we did.
What was that problem?
The problem was that surrounding areas of the tree were in question. Platform was in the vicinity of a tree.
And who informed you of this?
Mr. Mike Mickelson did.
Do you recall the date when he informed you?
Can you repeat the question?
Do you recall the date?
March 4th, 2010.
Thank you.
Report that the
Why did his complaint concern you?
Mainly, I was concerned about the surrounding neighborhoods and the families. So concern from the public.
Yeah. What did you decide to do once you were notified?
Once I was notified, I proceeded to produce flyers and notes indicating the problem to the surrounding neighborhoods of the trees, namely Victoria Drive of the 3400 block.
The letters you dropped off on Victoria Drive, what did they say?
They said that there was a problem. It also told them that there was a possible safety hazard concerning the wires in the tree.
May we confer with counsel real quick?
I'm sorry, you? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This is where they're going to try and put evidence in. I'm about to shit on.
Hey.
Who did you send these letters to?
I sent them to all the houses, namely the 3400 block of Victoria Drive, all the houses.
Can I admit this map to evidence?
Is that the one that's...
That's
the
a plaintiff
official
exhibit.
Yes, it's the official one.
Yes, go ahead. Any problems? Go ahead. Are you going to put it up there, or you want him just to refer to it? Or do you have more than one copy? Does he have more than one copy?
Yeah, I have
That's
it.
the easiest
It's a
thing.
plaintiff exhibit, but yeah.
Yeah, here, give one to the jury, and then that way he can refer to it.
Is this map correct for the area around the tree?
Yes.
Are the people's names on the map that you sent the letters to?
Yes.
Will you read those names off?
John Carpenter, Joe Curtis, Lee Smith, and Eugene Johnson.
Okay. Thank you. Can I put it back? Now I would like to reintroduce the letter.
Lack of foundation. There's
This
no
has
sort.
already been introduced. Thank you.
So noted. So noted.
Is this the letter you that you sent out?
Yes.
I have to remind the jury that the letter, remember that the letter is not notarized, so the authenticity of it is in question. Go ahead.
And what did you do with this letter?
I taped it using clear tape on every doorstep along those names of the houses I just addressed.
And what did this letter inform those who got it of?
Asked and answered. It's already been read.
It has been.
What did you want the parents? Why did you send this to the neighbors and not the school district?
The reason why I did that was because the school district did not allow their children to climb trees, and I deemed it not necessary for them to. I deemed it not necessary to notify the school.
So they already have policy not allowing their students to climb the tree?
That is correct.
Okay. Moving on. It has been brought up that your company does not use signs.
That is correct.
Is there
the
a
reason
for that? Yeah.
The reason for that is because of maintenance safety. With maintenance, people have to climb up the pole. It's difficult for them to maintain a certain level of safety if the sign is there.
So you're just looking out for your own employees?
That is correct.
In the procedures, are you familiar with some of the procedures?
Yes, I'm familiar with two that pertain to this case, but the rest of them are not in my job description.
Does your company require your tree trimming crews to follow these?
No.
Are they legally obligated to follow these?
No, they're not.
Is there any time where you force them to?
Leading.
Yeah, let's rephrase it.
Is there any time in which they must follow these?
No.
Leading. Still.
Yeah, we still need to rephrase that.
Confer with counsel?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson, I'd like to ask you a couple more questions. Is it more frequent to experience, in your experience, is it more frequent to observe electrical accidents involving maintenance crews or citizens of the community?
Maintenance crews.
Maintenance crews. So did that affect your decision to not put up signs around the power lines?
Yes.
And leading.
And restate for the jury, do the signs affect the ability of the maintenance crews to do their job?
Yes.
No further questions.
Leading. Still.
You're done.
We're done.
Cross-examine. They're up for it.
Your Honor, may I approach the stand?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson, what measures does your company take to promote electrical safety to children?
That's not my job description to know.
Do you know how much your company spends on informing the public? Of the
To my
dangers?
knowledge, it's thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars. And you think this is sufficient?
Yes.
Okay, in your opinion, do you feel it's the parents' responsibility if their child climbs 24 feet above a friendly neighborhood treehouse and gets injured by electrical wiring?
Can you repeat the question, please?
Do you feel it's the parents' responsibility if their child climbs 24 feet above a friendly neighborhood treehouse and gets injured by electrical wiring?
Yes.
Leading.
Thank you.
That is leading.
Cross-examination, sir.
Counsel.
Counsel, please.
Can you what?
I think they read.
Something.
Or no more.
Talk to my counsel.
How do you say it?
Do you want to meet with your people?
Can I confer with my counsel?
I think
Yes,
he does.
you may.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your Honor, may I approach the stand? May I
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Peterson. Do you feel it is the power company's responsibility to tell parents how to teach their kids?
No.
Whose responsibility do you think it is?
The parents.
And how long have you been working with Mr. Mickelson?
As long as I can remember
That
my
you-
whole career.
And as the human resource person of the company, is there any time when past customers would comment on Mr. Mickelson's work?
Not to my extent of knowledge, no.
Never got any compliments or anything?
No.
All right, no more questions.
Thank you, Mr. Krieger. Mr. Cannon?
Your Honor, may I approach the podium?
Yes.
Mr. Peterson, are you aware that you just committed perjury?
Not to my extent of knowledge, no.
Objection, badgering the witness.
There's evidence to back it up.
Make your case, don't badger the witness.
Hasn't even had a chance to badger yet.
Thank you. In the affidavit given by the school board member, it says directly, the school district does not have a specific policy that disallows tree climbing on school property. Because it does not, it does not don as a curricular function or in a prescribed recreational school activity. Are you sure that that they have a policy against it? Because it says right there in his affidavit.
Well, it's my opinion that...
Your opinion?
Well, no. You've opened up a can of worms. First of all, he doesn't work for the school district.
But
Second of all, the school district hasn't presented their case
Thank
yet.
you. Come at us later.
Third of all, you asked the question whether you felt he knew, I'm assuming this was the question, of a policy, correct?
Yes, because he said he stated the policy, that he knew the policy.
Okay.
And that's why he didn't inform.
Okay. So, in his opinion, he feels like there's a policy.
Okay. Why do you feel that there is a policy? Did you ask anyone if there's a policy?
Did I ask for anybody if there was a policy regarding the
tree climbing that you said is the reason you didn't send anything to the school?
Well, again, before I was interrupted, I think it's my responsibility, not my responsibility, the school's responsibility to monitor their kids if they're playing outside.
Except it's your responsibility to notify them that their tree needs trimming, and you said that the reason you did
Objection,
not
he didn't notify the school that their tree needed trimming. Objection, repetition.
No.
He did not.
Chill, guys. I'm getting tired of your mouth. I'm serious.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Stop interrupting me. Stop interrupting me. Ask your questions and move forward.
Mr. Peterson, it said that you have a counteraction plan after this event happened. Is that right?
That is correct, because of the bad publicity.
What exactly is part of that counteraction plan?
Counteraction was to inform elementary students, possibly onward, of the dangers of messing with electricity.
Have you considered placing signs anywhere near your electricity wires?
Well, as I stated in my earlier testimony, they interfered with maintenance.
It said you spent thousands of dollars each year as far as educating the public. What specifically have you spent thousands of dollars on to educate them?
Going into schools.
That cost thousands of dollars?
You just answered that question.
I don't understand where.
Objection, repetition.
All right, fair enough. Why was the note not notarized?
Excuse me?
Why was the note not notarized?
That's a question for counsel, not for the witness.
That is a question for counsel. Okay.
Did you ever send this to Joe Curtis?
Did I ever send this to Joe Curtis?
Yes.
Yes.
He never received it.
Well, it was taped to his door, and that's not my responsibility.
Your Honor, may I meet with my counsel?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
May I approach the podium, Your Honor?
Yes.
You said you taped the note to Mr. Curtis's door, correct?
That is correct.
Do you think it's possible he could have not received the note?
Objection. No lack of personal knowledge.
Yeah.
Yes.
Overruled. Answer the question.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Do you think it is possible that Mr. Curtis never received the note?
Well, I taped it to the door myself, so I don't know.
That's not what
not
the
answering the
question
question.
I guess it's possible, yeah.
So he cannot be held liable for the information.
That's not,
Objection. Calling for
that's not-
conclusion.
That's not part of the question.
Okay. So in your affidavit, it says 21 years ago, an incident happened with a child and a power line incident. Can you describe
We
this
haven't
for
had
us?
an incident in 21 years, so I
Yes,
assume that's
so
correct.
21 years ago, what
With the
happened?
public, not with maintenance.
Can
I
you
mean,
describe the incident that happened?
that was before my time. I've been working there for 21 years. And that was...
And you have no idea what happened?
No.
Okay. And so you're aware that an incident has happened previously before, though?
Yes, I am aware.
Why would y'all not consider putting signs deterring people from climbing trees?
Objection,
with
repetition.
I'm sorry?
Objection, repetition. We've answered
This question's already been answered twice, Your Honor.
Yeah, it has. Let's move on.
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right.
Your Honor, may I approach the stand?
Yes.
All right. You stated in your affidavit that your department periodically visits elementary schools in our school district in order to inform the children, correct?
That is correct.
All right. No further questions.
Redirect?
No, we're not going to redirect.
All right. All right, you may call your next witness.
No further witnesses. No more. We rest.
All right. Which brings us to our final witnesses, the school district. Have you all given your opening statement?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, we're going to take 2 minutes to go to the restroom, and then we will start right back up. About 2 minutes. And then when you get back, I want to see all the attorneys.
Over there, Loat Department. I feel like we're just not making any progress. I mean, after that, both sides.
Also, for those of you that don't know, which you shouldn't know, girls soccer's ahead 3-0. It's still first half because it started at 12, so it's got to be. What? Don't get picky.
Oh my god. I'm just like, yeah. Cowboy cookies, try one, they're so good. It's like, I can't describe it. How good that.
Dude, that perjury thing made me so happy.
Or it didn't even work.
Oh, what? What do you mean? No, I was on the phone with Karen, and I was like, what the hell? Because that was totally valid. Yeah, perjury. He lied. He said that he knew that, and then he was on the other guy's affidavit that they don't have a treatment system. Yeah. Like.
Scales haven't been tipped.
What?
Scales haven't been tipped. Just kidding, don't.
Robert, tip our scales for us. Just like on the ground. Dude, I can't wait. I have such good questions for guys. I like how they called me on Badger Notice.
What do we gotta do?
I'm taking Guy Tom. Oh, you Guy Tom, I'm taking.
Quiet, please. Let's go! Gosh almighty.
I like it. We should do another one.
Nastri, are you bothering my jurors? I'm going to brother your face in a minute. Move out of the way a little bit. Go on. Everybody's here?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are we through?
We need to pull the charge.
Yes, I will.
All right, should we call your next witness, or first witness?
Yes, we would like to call Thomas Kellogg to the stand.
All right.
Your Honor, may I approach the stand?
Yes. You ready? Can we have a little quiet, please? Not yet.
Shh.
Anytime you're ready, Dwight. Thank you. Good.
Could you please state your name for the court?
Thomas Kellogg.
And you are representing the school board as spokesman in this case, correct?
I am.
How long have you been serving as a board member?
6 years.
How many schools does this school district supervise?
4.
Including the one in question, correct?
Yes.
Would you say that you know the layout of the school and the schoolyard?
Objection leading. I do.
Speak up when we say an objection. I can't hear you. Say it again.
I said leading.
What'd you ask?
I'll rephrase it.
Okay, thank you. I'm not getting mad at you. I just can't hear.
How
okay?
would you feel your grasp of the school and the schoolyard is?
I would know it very well.
All right, and I would like to re-show the map of the school on the board. If that's all right with you.
It's for what reason? I mean, we've already put it
Just
up
so
there.
he can point out some things.
Point out what?
A few things.
Different than what's already been pointed out?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
What?
Lift it up. It's not on.
May I approach the bench? Mr. Kellogg, is there any sort of boundaries around the schoolyard?
Yes, there's a fence.
Can you point those out to me on the map?
Can you do it? There.
All right, and let it be shown that. Hold
Make
on.
sure the jury sees it.
Jury, if you could look up here for me. Yeah, give me a. All right, I got a highlighter. How do I zoom out?
No, other direction.
All right. Does anyone know how to zoom out on this?
Yeah, highlight it so you can see.
There we go.
Hey, Will.
Sorry, yes. All right. Can I get a highlighter? All right. And if you look at this, Mr. Kellogg pointed out that there was a fence on the north side of the recreational area, which was right here. And he also stated that on the school drive, entering into the school entrance, there was a fence. All right, let that be shown. And is there is there any specified entrance into the recreational area?
Yes, there's a gate by the school drive.
And can you please point out where that gate is?
Right there.
All right. Let it be shown that he pointed out that the gate was right here. Let me get a gate was right here.
Where's that evidence?
And at that time, during the summer vacation, what was the state of the gate?
It was locked.
So the gate was locked. It was
Yes.
closed and locked, correct?
Yes.
All right. And let me grab my questions real quick. And during a regular school day during the year, is there any sort of time where the children are allowed to be in the recreational yard?
Yes, we make time for the kids to go out and exercise.
Okay. And would you consider this to be a recess?
Yes.
All right. And during this recess, do you have any adult supervision?
We do.
How many teachers or faculty members would you say?
It varies day to day, but roughly 5 on average.
And do you have a specific no tree climbing policy?
We don't.
All right. And is there any tolerance of anyone climbing any trees?
No, we have no specific policy, but we enforce it. No tree climbing like we do have a policy.
Okay. So if any teacher were to see anyone climbing a tree, they would tell them to get down, correct?
Absolutely.
All right. And according to the state, what is the rule on the responsibility of trimming trees on campus?
The school's responsible for anything 6 feet and below, and then the power line company is responsible for anything above 6 feet.
And at the time of the accident, to your knowledge, were the trees trimmed in a proper way?
They were.
All right. And also, is this the first tree climbing accident to your knowledge that you know of?
Yes, it is.
And if you saw this tree house, because it was built during the summer, if you saw this tree house, what would you do to it?
We would have absolutely zero tolerance for that type of construction on our property.
Okay, so
we
it's
would
safe
take
to
it down.
say when maintenance came, or were to come before the next school year started, would you have the tree house taken down?
Absolutely.
All right. And how have you educated the kids about the power lines?
We've had SME come to our elementary schools and teach power line safety.
Okay, so you do have a regard for the children in terms of safety?
Yes, we do.
Also, have you ever noticed a platform in the tree?
There's a platform.
And what is the purpose of this platform?
To provide stability for the tree and for the safety of workers for the power line and for the safety of our kids.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
All right, cross-examine.
Sorry, are we cross-examining first?
Yes. You don't have to.
You just stated that the platform was for our workers' use, correct?
Yes.
And this was an opinion, correct?
I wasn't here. I've been on the school board for 6 years. It was put up before I was part of the school board, so I don't have any judgment or ruling over that particular
so
issue.
It was just an assumption?
Yes.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Excuse me, cross-examine.
No questions.
Cross-examine.
Your Honor, may I approach the podium?
Yes.
Yeah, don't get rowdy. Don't use any sass. You know what? I'm just. Oh, God.
Think about it, that's 2 hours.
Mr. Kellogg, it says in your biography you have children, is this correct?
Yes.
And that they've graduated through the school district, is this correct? Have any of them ever climbed this tree?
No.
You're 100% sure of that?
Yes.
So you've had all these kids come through the school district and you've never heard the fact that it's been called a climbing tree?
Yes, because I told my children there's a power line running through that tree and it'd be irresponsible for them to climb because they can injure themselves.
If you think it's reasonable to believe that they could injure themselves, then why wouldn't you have had the platform removed, which could obviously be climbed?
Platform wasn't removed.
It was removed?
Was not.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Why did you not have it removed? If you thought if you felt that you had to warn your own children, why wouldn't you have felt that you could have put up a sign or something or removed the platform?
Well, I'll answer the platform question. The platform's for safety, not for climbing. And our teachers have always have never allowed climbing. So that's never been an acceptable practice.
Are you saying, when you're saying that, are you saying it's never been acceptable practice during PE or during
Yes.
recess, or is that what we're saying here?
Yes, and then
Okay, I'm just trying to understand.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Go ahead.
How do you believe the school has never realized that there was a tree house in this property, in the tree? How do you realize that how do you think they never realized?
Well,
It's your property, you have to look after it.
the platform, to my knowledge, was built before the treehouse, and then the treehouse, I learned of it after the accident, like I said earlier.
It says in your affidavit that you believe the school is not liable because it was not in session. Is this correct?
Yes.
Why do you believe that just because school isn't in session that you are exempt from liability? Because there were still, to my knowledge, teachers on campus as they were doing training.
Objection, assuming facts, not in evidence.
Sustained.
Objection, argumentative question.
We
already sustained it.
We already
I'm gonna
objected.
throw this hammer at you.
Do you believe the power company should have communicated with you better than they did about the power line?
I don't have opinion on that.
Okay. No further questions. Counsel, Your Honor.
He already said no further questions. I would like to redirect.
They're not through.
Mr. Kellogg, are you familiar with the attractive nuisance doctrine?
Excuse me?
The attractive nuisance doctrine. It's the one I stated earlier with Mr. Carpenter.
Yes.
You are familiar with it? Can you tell me what that law is?
I'll give you an example. If you have a pool and you don't have a gate around that pool, and a kid drowns, you're liable.
Exactly.
That's mine.
Right. That would be correct. So how is that different from a tree, a platform and a tree within a fence? How is that not an attractive
Objection.
nuisance?
Attractive nuisance clause applies to only a certain age.
I'm sorry?
Objection. The attractive nuisance clause only applies to children under a certain age. The person in
younger
question was
children.
over that age.
And what is that age?
14.
And what are we dealing with here?
A 15-year-old.
Is that accurate?
That is accurate. It was established.
In some cases, it's
A
16.
previous court case denied a 14-year-old this doctrine.
You've made your point, and they've made theirs. I mean, the idea of bringing back up, the attractive nuisance doctrine and making sure he's aware of it, yes. But there is an age requirement that differs in states. I will say that.
We'll get on that.
Yeah. What?
No, I said we'll get on that. No further questions.
Okay. All right. Redirect?
Yes, Your Honor. You stated earlier that there was a gate and it was locked, correct?
Yes.
Was there any sort of sign or anything at that gate to say anything?
Yes, there was.
And what did that sign say?
There's no activity on the field allowed after school hours, and you must be accompanied by either a teacher or a legal guardian.
Okay, and in your opinion, were these children following either one of those rules set forth by you?
No.
All right, no further questions.
Recross?
We have no questions for recross.
All right, recross?
One question, Your Honor. So, since there was a fence there, is it safe to say that the students jumped the fence to access the field and the tree?
I wasn't there. I can't testify to that.
All right. No further questions.
Gentlemen and ladies?
Yeah, we have a question.
What?
We do have a question.
Okay.
Mr. Kellogg, are you sure that they came through that entrance where the sign was posted on the gate?
No, I never said that.
Objection, lack of personal knowledge.
Okay. Well.
Ask it again. Ask it. No,
Is
ask
there,
the question
yeah,
you asked.
The question I just asked. I asked, are you certain that they came through that entrance? Is
Lack
what I
of
asked.
he wasn't there. Lack of
Okay.
personal knowledge.
All right.
I'll sustain the objection.
I have another question. Is there another way they could have entered the premises of the
Yes.
school? Okay.
Well,
No.
I mean, legally, they could have jumped a fence or gone through private property, someone's backyard.
But you're talking about...
Is the school
you're
private
talking
property?
about a gate, so to speak.
They
There's one
could have.
gate.
I'm saying they could have gone through any other entrance, which
or
might,
over the fence or something like that. You're talking about
which
any
may
way.
not. Yeah, they may not have seen the sign.
Objection, assuming facts, not in evidence.
No,
No.
overruled.
Mr. Kellogg, is the school private property? Seeing as how it's a
state
public
property.
school?
It's a public school. During school hours, we're completely liable, and we're also we take precautions.
Is it public? Is it
We take precautions with our fence, but yes.
So you're saying that it changes whether or not it's private based upon your school hours?
No, I'm not saying
yes,
that.
that's a fact.
Question's already been answered.
I'm saying we allow access to our field during school hours, and then we deny access when school's over.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Step down.
What? Oh, you did. Shit, my bad.
Has the bell rung?
Yep.
Second bell?
It's 106. 105 right now.
Okay. Then I won't take roll yet. Go ahead.
We would like to call Patricia Williams to the stand.
Hold it. Oh.
Please say your name.
Hold on. A lot of people out. Greta?
I know she's not here.
Huh?
I know she's not here.
Bear with me. Chance here. Allison? Danielle? People go out of town this weekend.
Yeah, Danielle's at Ole Miss.
Cooper? Teddy? Grayson? Doris? Where's Grayson? Fewen? Fewen? Fisher? I saw him earlier. I want to kill him. Gordon? Graham? Here. Greer? Not here. McDaniel? Grayson Miller? Novaz? Patel? Planey? Smith? St. Remain? Stewart? Llewellyn? Strong? Sweet? Jake Turner? Weinberg? Go ahead, sorry.
Please state your name.
Patricia Williams.
When and where were you born?
I was born April 20th, 1980 in Park City, Utah.
And where do you work currently?
I work at Central High School.
Could you have a brief description of your family life growing up?
I was the oldest of four, and my brother Robert was born with cerebral palsy, and both my parents worked full-time, so I took care of all of my three younger siblings.
And where did you go to college?
University of Kansas.
And what degree did you?
Special education.
And is it safe to say that taking care of your brother inspired this degree?
Yes, it did.
And when did you move to Billings, Montana?
In 2002.
And what were your reasonings?
My boyfriend, that is now my husband, got a job for working for the oil refinery, the Montana's building oil refinery.
And when did you start teaching at Central High School?
Later that year.
And you were at special education at that high school?
Yes.
And could you just, what do you think about the program there? Is it adequate?
Yeah, the program's really successful. It's really hands-on. There's not a lot of disabled children, so everyone gets good full attention.
And when did Rebecca become your student?
2 years ago, and I've been working with her a lot.
And could you have like a brief description of like her physical and mental disabilities?
She walks with a limp, so it's really hard for her to walk. We help her with that. She is having trouble staying focused on her schoolwork and trying to improve and all that, so we're working with her on that as well.
And did you know her at all prior to the accident?
No, I did not.
And does the program, does it have like any kind of consultation with the parents?
Yes, when we first get students at the beginning of the year, we have an evaluation, and then every 6 weeks after that, we do a progress report and have a meeting with the parents, and her parents never attended one except for the first one.
So what are you implying by her parents' involvement?
Not much at all.
So her parents are not involved with her life very much?
Not with school.
Too busy?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Cross-examine?
No, thank you.
Cross-examine?
No, sir.
Grayson, you want to take this?
Cross-examine?
Yes.
How would you describe Rebecca's mental and emotional state?
She kind of has a rebel attitude that she just gives up really easily and doesn't put forth enough effort to try and improve in school.
Do you think this is a function of the injury?
Yes.
And at what grade level would you say Rebecca operates at, considering she's a junior in high school?
I think she dropped down a lot, probably.
Significantly?
Do what?
She dropped down
Objection,
significantly.
lack of personal knowledge.
Yeah, I'm going to allow it. It's fine.
So she's
pretty low level, probably like.
Argumentative, old Gus. You know that? Go ahead.
And how many academic and how many academic events were missed as a result of her injury? Like what could she not participate in due to her injury?
From what she used to do?
Yes.
I wasn't her teacher before, so I don't know what she used to do.
How many days has she missed of school?
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
Objection, lack of personal knowledge.
Overruled.
Quite a bit. I would say that she misses every once in a while.
Every once in a while?
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while is different from 60 days, which it says in your affidavit.
Do what?
I said every once in a while is a lot different from 60 days, which it states in your affidavit.
Objection, that's an opinion.
I don't think I put that.
Once in a while is
It
subjective.
was in
It's
her
an opinion.
It was in her statement to the police.
But that's his opinion that it wasn't that many days. 60
beg your
days could be a
pardon?
few days to her.
I beg your pardon?
60 days could be a few days to her.
A few is defined as like
Oh, that she missed while she was my student, or after
when
this
she
happened?
when she was your student. Since she's been your student,
Yes.
has she missed a significant amount of days?
Yes.
And this is a function of her injury.
Yes.
And do you think Rebecca will ever be able to be employable?
If she puts in a
Objection,
lot.
lack of personal knowledge.
No, I do think it's within her scope of knowledge, so I'll allow it. Go ahead.
I think if she puts a lot of work into it and trying to improve herself, that she won't get a really high-end job, but I think that she could do something small just to keep her entertained.
What kind of job do you think she could get?
Just something part-time.
Can you
Objection,
specify?
collect your conclusion.
I think.
I mean, I don't know what she wants to
I think
do.
the type of job that she could do is.
Objection,
beyond-
relevance.
I'm talking beyond her scope,
I got you.
I'm going to sustain that objection.
Okay. Well, based on your knowledge, if she did have a job, could her job support her? Could the money she earned from her job support her?
It depends on what kind of lifestyle she wants to live.
Well, in a minimum lifestyle.
She answered it.
Objection, beyond the scope of her knowledge.
Is Rebecca? You recognize that the tree where the injury occurred was a common climbing tree?
I never knew about the tree until after the accident.
So okay. And no. In your affidavit, it states that you've seen students climbing this tree before. Would you like to change your statement?
Objection, that's a different witness.
beg your pardon?
No, it's not. It is.
Overruled. Go ahead.
In your affidavit, it states that you have seen students climbing this tree, but yet you just testified that you had not seen students climbing this tree. Would you like to change your statement?
Yes.
Okay, let it be known that she changed her statement to. And have you done anything to prevent these students from climbing this tree?
No.
So, no further questions.
All right. Redirect.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll just keep it here. You said that you have seen students climbing the trees, correct?
No.
Objection asked and answered.
Never mind. I'm not redirecting.
Okay.
I'm done.
All right. Then you're not
sit down.
then you're not redirecting.
Correct.
All right. So you're
Okay, let's do this every time. I will ask questions. You guys feed me information. And it's official. And
call your next witness.
you can't tell.
Doris Warburton to the stand. May I approach the podium?
Yes.
Hey, will you get? I'm not gonna read your closing statement. I'm gonna read part of it. But will you give me the key facts that I need to point out on? I know I am. I might freelance it.
Keep close to the mic. Talk loudly. Do not touch the partition in front of you because it will roll off and fall down. Everybody will laugh and you'll look embarrassed. Okay? Okay. Ready? Yeah. Here we go.
Can I see her? Can somebody give me her testimony or her statement, please?
Please state your name for the court.
Doris Warburton,
How old are you?
55,
Where did you attend college?
University of Michigan.
How did you get into teaching?
My mother was a teacher,
How long have you been teaching at Central Junior High School?
20 years,
What do you teach?
sophomore English.
Do you have a good relationship with your students?
Yes,
Did you ever have Rebecca Curtis in your class?
I did.
Leading.
Sorry? Say it again.
Did you ever have Rebecca Curtis in your class?
I did.
That's not leading.
Sorry.
I had her sophomore year in English.
What kind of student was Rebecca?
She kind of goofed off in class, and she was kind of almost like a rebel in class, and she made about C's to B's in the class as well.
How did she act around her peers?
It almost seemed like she wanted to stand out and kind of be a troublemaker.
In your opinion, did Rebecca seek
see the
positive or
cross-examiner?
negative attention?
Negative.
Do you think the parents are the reason she acted so poorly?
I would say that because we do have parent-teacher meetings, and they only attended one. And when I told them that Rebecca was goofing off in class, they seemed like they didn't really care, and she kept goofing off in class, so I don't think they did anything about it.
Do you have any other jobs in the school, or did you have any other jobs previously?
I sometimes monitor the lunch, but I'm not a permanent teacher that monitors the lunch.
Do you
Yes, it is,
currently
because
supervise lunch?
I'm gonna say
Yes.
if she says she.
Have you ever seen other students climb the cottonwood tree during this time?
I've seen a few, but I've always told them to get off, and the moment I tell them to get off, they get off, and they never do it again.
Have you ever seen students climbing on the platforms?
I have not.
Have you ever seen Rebecca climb the tree during recess at school?
I have not.
Did you notice the tree limbs growing where it was unsafe for the students to climb?
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
Confer with counsel.
That wasn't me.
Can I confirm with my counsel?
Yes. Did you object?
Yes, that was me.
Okay. Sounded just like him. I'm like, did you just object to your own witness?
You started this morning?
No, after lunch.
Oh, you drinking that much water? Oh my gosh.
It was stated
we've had multiple testimonies in the neighborhood.
Okay, here we go.
When you saw the students climbing the trees, did you notify the school board?
I did.
Did the school board try and fix the problem?
Trees.
No, I need this.
Since they trimmed the trees, have there been anyone else climbing on the limbs?
No.
No further questions.
Cross-examine?
We're not going to cross-examine.
No further questions.
You're not cross-examining?
We're not cross-examining.
Oh, I'm sorry. No questions? You have questions?
Yes. When you said that you asked students to get out of the tree, where were you?
By the tree.
You were by the tree. So during like recess, you would position yourself by that tree.
No.
Then how were you?
I would walk around.
You would. You'd go all the way to the edge of campus.
The tree was always in my vision, though.
It was.
Yes.
But seeing this map on the screen,
I can't see the map.
would you like me to bring it up to you?
What?
Would you like me to bring it up to you?
Yes, please.
May I approach the bench?
Sure.
Here you go. Seeing that this is the exit of the school and the trees over here, you would frequently make laps around, even all the way to the corner of campus?
I wouldn't say I made laps. I was more in this area.
And how long would it take you to notify the students to get them out of the tree?
Like the moment they got on the tree.
So you would just sprint over there just to get them out of the tree?
I mean, I wasn't too far away from the tree. They could hear me yelling at them.
Okay. Thank you.
Do you want to show the jury that?
Yes, sure.
Okay. You can explain it to them.
As you can see, that there's quite a big difference in the area in this field. So she said she just walked around in this area, not necessarily all the way to the corner of the tree.
I was close to the tree, though.
Right, but just not necessarily right next to it, is what you said.
Drawing a conclusion.
And
It's your witness.
I know, but the question.
Yeah, he's making it seem like I was really far away from the tree, and I couldn't tell people I could, and they could hear me. And I said, like, the moment they were on the tree, and I told them to get off, and they could hear me.
And you always had your eye on the tree, correct? Always.
I mean, I blink. I wouldn't say always, but...
Well, were
argumentative question.
Were your eyes? Was your main goal during recess to prevent kids from getting into the tree?
Is one of my goals.
Okay. Then why? Excuse me. Then why didn't you tell the administration about this issue?
I did.
Even about the platform?
What do you mean about the platform?
There's a platform in the tree.
The administration already knew about the platform.
Yeah, the tree
they
knew
put
about
it there.
What's your objection?
The administration knew about the platform.
What's your objection?
It's already been established.
It's already been established.
That the administration already knew about the platform or did not?
We didn't ask about that.
Okay.
Asked and answered, Your Honor.
The administration, it was established that they already knew about it. Move on.
Okay, so yeah, what would Rebecca do that would suggest that she was disruptive?
She'd always be goofing off in class, so whatever I was trying to teach the class, she would make noises and just distract the other students from learning.
Do you have any specific examples?
Calling for a narrative answer.
I'm sorry, I was coughing. What?
Said objection, calling for a narrative answer.
No, that's not narrative. Continue.
Can you please answer that question?
I mean, I don't remember specific times. She did it often.
I thought you had her as a student, so wouldn't you know specific times when she would?
Objection. She already answered the
I
question.
had her as a sophomore, so it's been about 2 to 3 years.
I understand that, but if she had stood out that much to you, then I think it would be obvious that you could remember.
I didn't say she stood out that much. I just said that she was a troublemaker.
Well, if she is a troublemaker in your mind, it can be established that she frequently did stuff, or else you would just ignore that fact.
Was that a question?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
He's going on a narrative rant.
Ask your question.
I'm asking you to state specific examples. I don't understand why you can't state specific examples.
She doesn't have them.
Yeah, I don't remember specific examples. I've
Okay.
had a lot of students.
Thank you.
All right. We have more questions. I'm not surprised.
Do you remember when you notified the school? Because you said that you notified them that they trimmed the tree, correct?
Wait, what did I know? What are you talking about?
You said that you notified the school and that they trimmed the tree.
I can't hear you about the last part.
You said that you notified the school and that they trimmed the tree.
Objection, repetition.
No, I'm asking. There's a following question. Is this true that you said?
Yes,
that?
this is true.
When was this?
6 years ago, roughly.
6 years ago? Okay. All right. Very good. We have no further questions, Your Honor.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Okay.
I got it.
Redirect?
It goes on the top. Definitely not.
Okay.
Do they have another person? We're done?
Okay, you may call your next witness.
We rest.
All right, that will bring us to closing statements. Now I'm going to give about 3 to 4 minutes for you all to get your heads together on closing statements. This will be the order that you will go. School board will go first, power line second, homeowner third, and as always, the plaintiff or the prosecution, depending on the trial, they will finish closing statements. I don't want anybody to leave unless you just have to, but we're going to take about 3 or 4 minutes. Jury, I'd rather you stay where you're at. We're in recess for about 3 or 4 minutes.
Oh, well, we need to, all right. So tell me what to say. What are the 3 key points?
Oh, and by the way, soccer's ahead in the second half, 4-0.
Who they playing?
I've been called fat.
Dumb.
Ugly.
They say I'm a retard.
An addict.
Cocky.
Controlling.
All right.
I've been called pitiful.
So, okay, here's my
A douchebag.
I've heard it all.
I've heard it all.
And I can't take it anymore.
And tomorrow, after I have to hear it all again, I'm taking my own life.
What if they just said, I'm sorry?
Words. They are more powerful than you imagine. Think before you speak.
She's grown up being talented at or having some relationship.
Brushy, brush your teeth. Every day and every night. Now it's your parents' turn. Here's what you gotta do. Let them have your toothbrush so that they can brush your teeth. Reach out, you're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now spit! Help your teeth stay healthy. Brush with a grown-up every day.
Frequently run around on schools during the summertime. Secondly, I believe the main defense of the...
If you...
What? I'm like so... I'm so... I still have
Okay.
the caffeine going through
All right, I think we're to our closing statements. We will begin with the school district. So, Mr. Thompson, you're welcome to start.
Okay.
Good Lord, you've made a mess.
What if they bring up the 14-year-old? It's dependent on
Gentlemen of the jury, Central High School is not liable for Rebecca Curtis's irresponsible actions. Given the direct negligence of her parents, they were frequently absent from the child's life, and she was unaccounted for during the time of the accident. We believe that the school took reasonable measures to prevent irresponsible children from illegally trespassing on property of the school, including fences surrounding the area and the locked gate, along with the sign at the gate explicitly stating that a guardian is required and it is only accessible during school hours. The school followed proper trimming procedures and took proper precautions to prevent tree climbing and accidents. We believe that the accident relies solely on the negligence of the parents.
Thank you. Let's go to the power line company. Go ahead.
Thanks. Gentlemen of the jury. The Southern Montana Electric Company is here today as a party to this case. However, we believe that our company holds 0% liability in the accident involving Rebecca Curtis. We believe this for a few reasons. One of which is the fact that parental responsibility trumps the responsibility of any other party. We can't blame our power companies, our schools, and our neighbors when our failings as a parent lead to an accident involving one of our children. Our company, however, has put in significant time and effort to protect the children of this community, as was stated during the trial. This tragic accident was simply a result of a lack of judgment. It was a result of a lack of common sense, as stated by one of the plaintiff's witnesses. We hope you decide today in favor of the Southern Montana Electric Company, and we hope you decide today to do justice to all the parties involved in this trial. Thank you.
Ours is actually long. Of course.
Your Honor, may I approach the stand?
Go ahead.
I hereby conclude that John Carpenter is not responsible for the injuries of Rebecca Curtis because he had no idea that his tree house posed any sort of electrical risk. And the fact that Rebecca Curtis climbed approximately 24 feet over the tree house is simply an abuse of the neighborhood climbing tree, which has hosted various tree houses and platforms for decades. John Carpenter, a military man and churchgoer, built this house with care and compassion, just trying to do his part for the community. He should not pay the damages for a child who has no parental supervision and constantly puts herself in jeopardy by taking reckless dares from her friends. Through testimony from various witnesses, it has become quite obvious that everyone, including Mr. Curtis himself, has played a role in providing recreational structures for the children. Now I'll have my counsel finish.
Furthermore, the failure for Rebecca to take her prescribed medication can be directly linked to the behavior she exhibited. The failure to take prescribed ADHD medicine can lead to the risk of problems at work or school, which can be backed by the testimonies of the teacher we have heard today. Secondly, it can be linked to problems with relationships, friends, family, or even a spouse, which is accounted for by the testimonies from Joe Curtis himself that stated both him and his wife would go long periods of time with Rebecca unaccounted for. Thirdly, it can result in social alienation, which can be backed by the neighbors who testified today, stating they would see her for long periods of time alone. Finally, the final risk of not taking prescribed ADHD medicine results in reckless or impulsive behavior that directly correlates to the actions Rebecca exhibited on the day of the accident. The negligence of Rebecca herself to take her prescribed medicine, along with the negligence of her parents, including Joe Curtis, to make sure she took her prescribed medicine. Also, I would like to point out the conflicting testimonies from Rebecca and her doctor, Dr. Briggs. Briggs stated that Rebecca had no recollection of climbing the tree, while Rebecca herself has said today in court that she remembered climbing the tree so specifically she could remember the detailed sight of seeing 4 wires. The conflicting statements can only be attributed to perjury, leading to contempt of court for the sole purpose of monetary gain. I believe that I have shown enough evidence today to show that the accident was caused directly by the negligent parenting and negligent actions of Rebecca herself. Our client is a man of honor and class and should not be responsible for children pushing the boundaries and abusement of this popular neighborhood tree. The responsibility solely rests on Rebecca and the negligent parents. Thank you.
May I approach the jury? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, frankly, there is an easy decision here to make. Our client, Rebecca Curtis, a 16-year-old girl, has had her life drastically changed due to the tragic accident whose consequences are far beyond her control. No longer is she able to participate in the same activities she's grown up being talented at or having some relationships that she's been able to enjoy in the past because of her amputated arm at the elbow and lost pinky. And she's socially incompetent. And there are multiple reasons for her, for the defenses to be responsible. So now the verdict is upon you to see the liabilities held by the three defendants, the Powerline Company, the school, and John Carpenter. First, the Powerline Company failed to post warning signs near their tree, which did not deter the Miss Curtis from climbing up the tree. And there should be the power line should be no less than 5 feet from an electrical line, while in this case it was no more than 2 feet from an 8,000 voltage uninsulated electrical wire. The school and John Carpenter, the builder of the treehouse, are both liable due to the attractive nuisance doctrine. The attractive nuisance doctrine states that regardless of property, the school and the builder are responsible for a structure on their property that could attract minors to that specific area. And in this case, the school field is public property, regardless of the fence around the school and the sign. As we learned in this class, that there is a sign does not make you unliable for anything happening on campus. In this case, John Carpenter is responsible for building the tree, as he did not have any permission from the school to build the tree, and the school did not take this tree down. So please see and understand the pain and suffering and the negligence of a few people that have caused the Curtis family, and allow them to receive the monetary compensation from all three defendants for this strategy. It's the least you could do. Thank you.
Members of the jury, now that the evidence in this case has been presented, the time has come for me to instruct you on the law. My instructions will cover 3 areas. First, some general rules that will help define and control your duties. Second, the law that applies to the claims and defenses in your case. And third, some guidelines and rules for your deliberation. It shall be your duty to find the facts from all the evidence that's been presented in this case. The questions that you must decide are contained in the special verdict form that I have given to you, consisting of 9 questions. It is the duty of this court to order judgment according to the law and the answers that you will return in it. Arriving at your decisions, you must do your duty regardless of any personal likes or dislikes, opinions, or prejudices, and decide the case solely on the evidence that's presented to you today. Attorneys are officers of the courts. However, the arguments, the objections, closing and opening remarks made by the attorneys are not to be considered evidence. You should always rely upon your own experience, good judgment, and common sense in receiving and interpreting their presentations. You are the sole judges of whether or not a witness is to be believed or not, and of the weight to be given to the testimony of each witness. There was but one plaintiff and 3 defendants in this case. Answer the special verdict form questions as to each defendant as though each were being tried separately. Each defendant is entitled to a separate consideration of his or her case and is not to be prejudiced by your answer with respect to the other defendants, meaning they should not influence each other. In order to answer any question yes, the greater weight of evidence must support such an answer. Otherwise, you should answer no. Greater weight of the evidence means that all the evidence by whomever presented it just led you to believe it's more likely that the claim is true than not true. In this case, the plaintiff, Mr. Curtis, claims that the defendants were negligent and that he sustained damages because of the negligence. The defendants deny that they were negligent, and they further claim that any damages that were sustained by the plaintiff were caused by his own negligence. There are several important definitions of terms that I would like you to know that are important in this case. First, the term negligence can be defined as the failure to use reasonable care. The term reasonable care is that care which a reasonable person would have, which a reasonable person would use under similar circumstances. In this case, involving a child, reasonable care is that care which a reasonable child of the same age, intelligence, training, and experience as the plaintiff at the time of the accident would have used under like circumstances. Negligence can also be thought of as the doing of something which a reasonable person would not do, or the failure to do something which a reasonable person would do under the circumstances. However, an act of omission is not negligence if no risk or injury could have been reasonably anticipated or foreseen. A power company or a property owner has a duty to exercise a high degree of care when it knows or should know that children are in danger of contacting any power lines while playing in the vicinity. The duty, however, remains the same, reasonable care under the circumstances. And it should be noted, the mere fact that an accident has happened does not mean that anyone has been negligent. Finally, there is evidence that's been introduced concerning industry standards or guideline policies. Such evidence is not to be considered conclusive on the question of whether a defendant exercised reasonable care. Rather, it is to be considered by the jury along with all the other evidence in this case as to whether the defendant exercised reasonable care. And a person may assume that every other person will use reasonable care and will obey the law until the contrary be reasonably known. You will also be asked to determine the amount of damages, if any, to be assessed against the parties in this action. The term damages means a sum of money that will fairly compensate a person injured or harmed. Damages may include past and future injury or harm. A party must prove the nature, the extent, the duration, and consequences of his injury. There is no yardstick by which you can measure these values exactly, but you should consider the nature, the extent, the severity of the injuries, and a reasonable value of the medical services of every kind that has been or will be required in the future, and any future earnings of the injured that will be reasonably affected. If, after the finding of the dollar value of future damages for loss or future earning capacity or future medical supplies and services, then you must award that amount less interest, which we're not going to address in this particular case. And then apportion the negligence among those defendants found to be negligent in causing the plaintiff's injury. You should try to return a unanimous verdict, but if you cannot, then this court will accept a 9 out of 11 verdict from you. Do you have any questions? If you will go to your right and my left and go around to the jury room, I will meet you there to go over some final instructions. We are in recess until we have a verdict. This is a real good time to pick up all your trash, whether it's yours or not, in all my areas, please. Thank you. Okay, first of all, I need to thank a couple of people. First of all, y'all did an outstanding job. This trial was totally different than yesterday's in a whole different sort of way. Yesterday, I thought was one of the best trials I've ever had, and this falls right there with it. I haven't done this trial in so long that, in fact, I was going through my files here, and something else I used to read with this, and I will read it in a second, because it's the time period of when this trial was going on compared to when you all are graduating, which is in about 5 weeks. So anyway, I'd like to thank Kelly Snowden and her classes and for doing all the cameras and getting this on television, and her students, they always step up and take care of me, and they've had a busy day with the student council elections and the student council assembly, etc. So I appreciate her and her students very much. And then always Mr. Masters, who takes care of my sets up here and provides everything for me. Sometimes he is swamped with one act, and then sometimes, you know, it's not as much, but his kids still also step up to take care and support my programs and my classes, and has done it for 20 some odd years. So I appreciate that. And then, of course, Shelley Venerable for helping me with doing what we did today with Skyping Lee Cooper, which was a first. I just thought that was outstanding. I was pumped. You know, it's a little, may seem less significant to you, but to see it done during the trials is something we haven't done, and so I was really excited about that. So great job. This is your first notice, okay, that your written material is due next Thursday, okay? There is no leeway there. It's due during fifth period? Is that where you're at? During fifth period. Okay, it's in your folder and all that stuff, and I'll go over again Monday, but I do not have any leeway, and this is your ticket to graduate or to get out of my class. Okay, this is my term paper like we talked about. So there is no leeway, there is no ifs, nothing. It's done either the way I said or you have a problem, okay? Those of you in the jury that are not in fifth period B-Law, please keep your notes, and then we'll work out our grade in the other classes later, okay? I always enjoy the opportunity to reflect each trial that's presented in my classes each semester. I will say in the past, it is no secret that this is one of my favorite trials to do, but I haven't done this in such a long time that I'd forgotten how much I enjoy it. It applies so much more realistically on a daily basis than other trials that we do. And quite frankly, in my opinion, there are a number of people who are guilty in this trial, okay, all for the same reason. They chose not to do anything, or they looked the other way, or they didn't want to get involved. And that's a problem. And it continues to be a problem in our society. We just don't want to get involved. And we see something, whether it's the power line company and their regulations, the homeowner, Mr. Carpenter, the school district, it doesn't matter. We see, that's a little close to the power lines, or wow, that tree's a little bit, too close to the fence, or all the different, you're too young to be climbing, okay? All of these types of things were and should have been addressed and weren't, which is why the trial came to pass. Too many times in our lives we look the other way when dealing with young people. And we know that what they may be doing is wrong, and in fact realize we have the opportunity to possibly influence their decisions. Instead, we decide not to get involved. While I've been at Highland Park, this is my 26th year, I have been associated with some 15 deaths of students as a faculty member. As the school year comes to a close and you attend the many activities that are a part of your senior year, try to keep in perspective what's at stake. Your future, your college, and the rest of your life. I'm really, really, really proud of you, and please make the right decisions in the next few weeks. Has the jury come up with a decision? Would the foreman please bring it forward? Would you all please rise? In reality, I could go through the questions one by one, but this particular jury has made it very easy to do this. Here is what the jury has recommended for the plaintiff, and it's really quite simple. We, the jury, decide that we are awarding the family of the plaintiff, the Curtises, only the cost of medical bills the day of the accident, which would come to $540,000. In addition, due to the negligence of the parents, we deem it unfit for Rebecca to remain in custody of the Curtis family. Hold on. And we and inform Child Protective Services will take full custody of Rebecca Curtis. The Curtis parents will no longer have custody over Rebecca because of the unique characteristics of this case. We feel that this is the best course of action, and therefore, would the bailiff please come forward and remove Rebecca Curtis from the custody? This is a first in my 26 years, and this court is what is it? Adjourned.
You suck. I got y'all all the money back. Y'all made $550,000. That's nothing to the $12 million.
Yeah.
School district 6%, John Carpenter 4%, the power company 0. Jim.